You're muted.
Epic fail. Epic fail. Well, what are you going to do? So, all right then. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our new Cool Kids live stream. Now, if you watched last week's live stream, you know that we did the live stream of movies that we think were popular movies that we were not fans of. Well, this time it's going to be the complete opposite. Now we're going to talk about unpopular films that we actually do like, and this can range. These could be movies that we just think were misunderstood by the public, or maybe movies that we can admit are not good, but guilty pleasures of ours, movies that we find underrated, etc. So, of course, just like last time, we're going to go around. We all have our different 5 picks each. We're going to go around, talk about a movie, and then we're going to talk about a movie, and then I'm going to ask if anyone agrees or disagrees so everyone can chime in their own thoughts. So, you'll be... And, all right, then. So, without further ado... Oh, hold on. Let me change some things around a little bit. Okay. So, since this guy has to leave soon, is on a time crunch right now, I'm going to actually let him go first. And then I will go next, and then you know how the whole routine is. So I'm going to go and let this guy go first, so that way he, because he's got to hop, he can't stay on for too long. All right. So without further ado, Devin, do you want to get started?
Yes, I do.
All right.
So my first pick is going to be Mars Attacks. I brought up in the last stream, I am a massive fan of Tim Burton, and I think this is quite possibly one of his more underrated movies. This isn't a masterpiece by any means, but this is just a fun fucking movie. I love the ensemble cast. I think the characters, well, nothing to write home about, are very entertaining. I love the look of the Martians, and there's a lot of really funny moments, like when they start attacking people just because some guy let a bird go free, and when they're shooting at people, they have the translator, and they're saying, "Don't run, we are your friends." That was hilarious. When they're watching the couple have sex, and there's windshield wipers inside their helmets, when they're dancing with Tom Jones. It's just great homage to 50s 50s sci-fi aliens on the loose stories. Every time I watch this movie, I have a big smile on my face. I know it was a box office bomb, and all the critical reception was mixed. But I don't know. I've always really liked this movie. I still do. I've liked it since I was a kid, and I like it now. Okay, that's my first pick.
Okay. First, I want to say hi to Zach in the comments. What's up, man? So, does anybody agree with Devin's first pick? Does anybody disagree? Okay. So let me go ahead and say, Mars Attacks. I honestly think it is a fun ride. I mean, it is a little bit different compared to Tim Burton's other movies, because it seems like this was he was veering away from the dark atmosphere kind of movies into the more silly sci-fi kind of silly, goofy sci-fi kind of movies. I mean, like you said, it's a homage. Hold on, let me get rid of this. But I honestly, it's a lot of fun. I think it's really funny. It's a lot of fun. I do like the look of the aliens in this movie. But I just find it. I have a blast watching it. Ben?
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, but the main problem I have with this movie is that so many of the cast are killed off. But other than that, I had a fun time watching it.
Okay.
It was a great homage to other sci-fi movies. It had a great cast, and I had fun watching it.
Okay. Mark, why
I
do you
just
disagree?
I just wasn't that impressed. So,
Okay,
just or anything. I just wasn't that impressed.
Just okay. John, do you have anything to say about Mars Attacks?
Never seen it. Don't plan on it. Looks stupid.
All right. Well, all right. So that was Devin's first pick. Now for mine, and I feel like this would be the least surprising on because I'm pretty sure some people would have expected this on my list. I did mention that we can have guilty pleasures on this film, and I admit this movie is not very good, but I would say it does put a smile on my face, and I do have a fun time with it, and that is get the hate comments ready. Batman and Robin. Yes, that Batman and Robin. Look, I admit this movie's not very good. Yes, it's campy, it's silly, it's over the top, but that's why I have a lot of fun watching this movie. Joel Schumacher was told by Warner Brothers that he had to make a 2-hour toy commercial. That's exactly what he gave Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers wanted a toy commercial. Schumacher gave him a toy commercial. It's yes, the characters don't feel like the characters, but with the over-the-top silliness, I just start laughing the ice puns. I still quote a lot of the ice puns to this day. All right, everyone, chill. Cool party. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age. Again, this movie is not very good, but I will say that it's my number one guilty pleasure film. So it's one that I don't mind watching every while just to laugh at this. And it seems weird that people often say that this is still to this day the worst Batman, or the worst comic book movie, period. Yeah, I'm not gonna go. I understand how it's bad, but it's one that's the worst comic book movie? Really? I can name 20 other films that are way worse than this. So, that's my thought. Not good technically, but I have fun watching it. Does anyone agree with my pick? Anyone disagree? Of course. Devin?
I understand why it is a big guilty pleasure for you, and there are a lot of entertaining moments. But a lot of the funny stuff is in like the first half of the movie. Everything else is just the story is so messy, and a lot of the movie is just really boring. I find Batman and Robin to be boring. Not the worst comic book movie ever made. It's bad. It sucks, but it's not worse than say Fan Force Stick or
Shit Blunder.
Justice League.
Shit and Blunder.
Or Zack Snyder's entire filmography. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to see Mark's reaction.
Okay.
I intentionally wore this shirt just to piss you off because I know you hated the last season of Stranger Things.
Okay. So, John, do you want to go next on why you disagree?
I much with Devin's. You have compilations on YouTube of like the best and funny moments, and that's usually like 10 to 15 minutes long because that's all that's really funny about the movie. The rest of it is just honestly super fucking boring. Like, it's not like entertaining in the slightest. It's just a bland, ironically bland movie with like a ton of like weird visuals in your face. So it's not. By default, it's the worst Batman movie, but it's they're pretty much at least do something for me. Batman and Robin, it like captures the Silver Age, but that's kind of it.
Another thing I wanted to bring up before I get to Mark and what Ben say. I will say that I think that there are some of the best scenes I will say that are not intentionally hilarious is the scenes with Bruce Wayne and Alfred. I forgot to mention that. So I do think that those scenes are nice, but that's just me. Mark?
Pretty much what they, I mean, for me, it's just a bunch of cringe. Yeah, it's funny, but I mean, yeah, honestly, you did change my view of it because I can see now why you enjoy it ironically. But to me, like you said, I mean, you said it yourself. Even enjoying it ironically, it's still really fucking bad. It's still really, really fucking bad. And I can see why you couldn't enjoy it ironically, but at the same time, like you said, it is really bad, and a lot of it's just so much cringe that it's just it's just awful. Like the bat nipples, oops.
Then again, that was in Batman Forever as well. So
Yeah, it was, and it was bad there too. So, I mean, which is part of the reason why I really fucking hate that one. Almost hate that one even more than Batman and Robin, really. So it's just that fucking bad. Yeah, they're just so much cringe. I don't think it's. I used to think it's the worst one. I no longer think it is. I think Love and Shit and Blunder. I really pretty much stole the crown from that. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it is.
Yeah,
it is a shit movie.
Ben, do you have anything to say?
I would say that everything about it is hokey to the point where it gets insulting, but it's not the worst comic book movie. No. Give me Bat Nipples over the Spirit.
How about, I was going to say Bat Nipples over Thor giving his axe a beer.
Or,
Yeah.
well, you don't want to see a movie about a guy who wants to buildings?
Thor's axe getting jealous over his hammer. Jesus.
Yeah. All right, so that's my pick. All right, so John,
I did want to start out. Yeah, I did want to start out mine really quickly. I did have a bunch of honorable mentions that I just want to spitfire real quick. I did want to talk about them, but some of them were tangentially related to some of my actual picks. So I just wanted to mention them. Like I either love these movies or kind of like them. Honestly, I really love all of them. So my honorable mentions are the Pet Sematary remake, the House on Haunted Hill remake, Secret Window, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and The World's End. The last two aren't hated, but they are my favorites in their respective trees, which is an unpopular opinion. So So anyway, my first real pick is a movie nobody has ever heard of, but to anybody that's watching this, maybe you've heard of it, but I did want to talk about it because it is pretty underrated. This is October. This is a very well done horror film that came out a few years ago. I don't know when. I think mid to late 2010s. I think 2018 or something like that. But it was essentially a movie about a group of people that want to find the most extreme haunted house, and they're like search for that while also kind of celebrating the haunted house like world, and how like there's like that diehard fandom in regards to that. And it was just a really well done horror. I thought it was creepy. It was really interesting. And it is found footage, but it's an example of found footage done well. Yet, for some reason, this and its sequel is like extremely hated by the horror community, and I cannot figure out why. I thought it was a really well done movie. I thought it was creepy. I thought it was interesting. The climax is extremely suspenseful and atmospheric. I thought the leads did a really good job. And I thought it was a really great movie. I know nobody here has heard of it, so nobody can agree or disagree with me. But I thought it was a very well done movie, and it doesn't deserve as much hate as it gets.
Does anybody agree with John's pick? Does anyone disagree? Has anybody heard of this movie? Or has anyone heard of this movie? Okay, so that was easy.
Yeah, I just wanted to get it out of the way.
Yeah. for some
But
reason,
I feel like I need to talk about it because I don't get to talk
That's
about
fine.
it that much. So
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. All right then. Yeah, none of us have heard of that. So moving on.
I highly
All right,
recommend.
Mark.
All right.
Mark, your turn.
My first pick is actually I was going to put Jason X in this spot because I just watched it last and realized how much I enjoy it, despite the fact that everybody hates it so much. But instead, I stuck with my original pick, which is actually two movies, because they go together as one story, actually complete one story. And they've always been hated on, and I can kind of see why, but at the same time, I really love them. I think they complete it very, very well. Continue in a logical way, and this is The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions. So they, and I can see why everybody says they hate them because they feel it doesn't stand up to the original The Matrix. But for a variety of reasons. But I really think they continued the story in a very, very logical way. The way it unfolded made sense with the way that the one turned out to be just another system of control. That made sense. That made sense because Neo always insisted he was not special. He was just a regular guy. That he did not like the idea of being of his destiny being kind of written for him, which is why in the first Matrix he had to, choose to be the one. He had to choose to be the one, so which he had not done yet. This is why which is why the Oracle told him, "You've got the gifts, kid, but you sound like you're waiting for something." So, but I love the way it unfolded and the way that it was very logical, like the way that Smith was getting more powerful as a result of the equation trying to balance itself out, and the way he sacrificed himself at the end to save everyone. And I thought the action scenes were, of course, fantastic. So I just really loved it. I love the story. I love the way it unfolded. I love the characters, and I love the action. So.
Does anyone agree with Mark's first pick?
No.
Does anyone disagree?
I haven't seen them.
Okay. To me, it's.
Haven't seen him
I mean,
either.
Have you seen him? Have you seen him, John? Nope. Okay. I will say, to be honest with you, it's been a really long time since I've seen both movies. In fact, I think I was like, they came out when I was like a freshman in high school. Because I remember seeing it once, or seeing both of them like one time. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I just always go back to the first one.
Yeah.
It's just like.
Huh?
No, go on.
Well, no, I was just saying that it's just like I think the first one set people up kind of to be disappointed because they expected Neo to just kind of bust in like Superman and save everybody. But they even said it in the first one when he apologized to him, said, "I'm sorry. We have a rule. We never freeze a mind past a certain age. It's difficult. Someone past a certain age, it's difficult. The mind has trouble letting go." So, they had that rule. And the question is, nobody ever took that into account and thought, well, how do you take that into account? Well, the only way was and plus the way they set it up in the second and third one is that, they were all dependent on each other. So most of those people still connected to the Matrix are kind of dependent on it because, like you said, the mind has trouble letting go. And the machines were dependent on them. And if you watch the Animatrix, it's pretty clear that it's kind of humans' fault because they treated the AI, the robots, like shit. So, of course, they rebelled. So, it made sense that the only way out was peace.
Gotcha.
So,
like I said, I haven't seen them in like so long. So maybe I could rewatch them and then we'll see what goes from there. Although I can't imagine them being worse in Resurrections.
Yeah. Oh God, no, dear God, no. Yeah.
But and funny enough is that seeing how you put two movies in one spot, you're not the only one that did that. But we'll get to that. But we'll get to that soon enough. Soon enough. All right. So moving on, Ben, you want to go next?
Okay. My first two are also guilty pleasures. The first one is the 2005 Fantastic Four. I think this movie is fun. I know a lot of people have problems with this movie, and I can understand that. But this movie understands the nature of the comics, that they are Marvel's first family, and how they are trying to understand their powers and use them. That is what the comics are about. So I find this movie fun at the least.
Okay.
Of the Fantastic Four trying to get to use their powers. And I also like the pain that Ben Grimm is going through of becoming a rock monster.
That's true.
So that is what I like about this movie.
Okay. All right. Does anybody agree with Ben's pick? Does anybody disagree? I'll probably sit. First, I'll say that to me, the 2005 Fantastic Four, I thought it was just a movie that played itself a little too safe for my taste. I get what you're saying. That it does at least capture more of the nature of the comics, unlike Fan 4 shit. But I just think
that was terrible.
Yeah. But I think that it was just one of those that played itself a little too safe and just became kind of forgettable for me. So, Devin, do you want to say your piece?
It's been years since I've seen this movie, but I will agree. Unlike Fan 4 shit, this got the family dynamic of the characters down correctly. Even the Corman version got that right. But it's been way too long since I've seen the movie. I remember seeing it in theaters when it came out. But yeah, I don't really have enough to justify. I don't really have enough to justify an opinion unless I see the movie again.
John?
Marvel's first family. Yeah, but I remember seeing the theater both of them and really liking both, but I was like a little kid when I saw them, so I don't really know. The thing is, I don't really, again, as Devin said, I don't really remember them that well. So, but I remember liking them, but I assume if I went back and watched them, I probably wouldn't like them as much, but they seemed like relatively harmless movies. So, I mean, it could always, as many have said, it could always be worse. So it's not like the most controversial thing ever, but from what I remember, even as a kid, I thought it was fine.
Mark?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that has its good points. I mean, I remember being somewhat fascinated by this back in the day. I mean, I watched it I did what I did with a lot of movies. I like watch it on repeat and try to figure out what I think about it because I think the biggest problem is it's just very boring in places. It has its good points. I mean, Chris Evans is fantastic. He's the highlight of the movie. He is fantastic as Johnny Storm, and I was totally not surprised at all when they picked him to be Captain America. Because he just exemplified Johnny Storm. He was amazing. And oh God, what's his name? Has been Grimm. He was good. He was really good, and like Ben said, he had a good point. He had a great story arc, the pain of him turning into the Thing, a rock monster. So,
Forget his name.
Ewan Gruffudd, I'm sure I'm butchering the pronunciation of his first name. Ewan Gruffudd. Thank you, my friend. Ewan Gruffudd. I thought he was pretty good, I just think some of the lines were really hokey. Some of it was really hokey, which was true of comic books movies in general at the time. Daredevil had the same problem. It was from that same era, and because comic movies were kind of in transition there, because it wasn't long after that Batman Begins came out and just changed everything. But I think the weak spot is really kind of the hokiness, the script, because it's just boring in places. And Jessica Alba is just her acting was just atrocious. She's pretty to look at, but I mean, her acting just was not very good at all. I don't think she had great chemistry with Johan Grufford, because just really didn't buy the relationship. She looked too young for him anyway. So, I mean, but it was just kind of weird. So. I
do feel bad for her. She was kind of tormented on set by the director, who was a sexist asshole. So I too hard for that.
Yeah, because she didn't deserve that. I mean, she was great in Sin City. I mean, I'll say that, but I just didn't care for her in this.
All right, then. So now I guess we're ready to move on to Zach's first controversial pick. And this is going to piss off some people here. I cannot wait. All right, so let's go and get started.
Oh boy. It wouldn't be a list of mine without my classic bad taste, now would it? My number 5 for disliked films that I actually like: Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I will say right off the bat, clearly the weakest of the indie films. But I will say, for a film franchise, for this to be the weakest one out of 5 films, which I like every single one of them, it's not bad. I used to hate this movie like everyone else. I had my personal reasons. I won't get into it now. That could be another video. But just rewatching it recently, it's like, I didn't know what happened, but I was liking it. I was enjoying it. I didn't mind Shia LaBeouf's character. I liked the idea of him being Indy's son, and I think it's explored fairly well, and it doesn't really feel like a wasted concept. I liked how Marion comes back into the fold and how her and Indy finally tie the knot at the end. And that the villains are really cool. I don't mind the idea of aliens, because my whole thing is that for all the supernatural things that have ever happened before, the Ark of the Covenant, the magic stones, the Holy Grail, even the Antikythera in the following film, I just like to think, is aliens really too far, too unrealistic for something like Indiana Jones? It didn't bother me very much. I just figured so long as the concept is executed good, then do whatever you want. And I think they did it fairly well. So, again, clearly the weakest of the 5 indie films in my opinion. But considering that I like all 5 of these films, to be the weakest one, it's not bad. Really not bad at all. Aside from a few off moments with some of the acting and some of the effects, of course, there are some flaws with this. I think it's otherwise a perfectly fine, serviceable indie adventure. So I quite like it now. It's grown on me quite a bit. So that's my number 5.
Okay. So, does anybody agree with Zach's pick?
Hell to the fuck no.
Does anybody disagree? Okay. Oh God. I would say that to me, Crystal Skull. I mean, the aliens are. I mean, it was. Yeah, I can understand what he means with the aliens, but the thing is that I wasn't as invested with so much with a lot of the new characters. I'm not a fan of the Shia LaBeouf character, or even what's her name, the villain. I'm just CGI, the CGI was just really bad. and it just didn't seem like it didn't do a whole lot in terms of like the Indiana Jones. It didn't. Not much else I could say. So, Devin, do you want to go next?
The Crystal Skull is bad. It's bad. But at the same time, the movie that comes after it is a million times worse and makes Crystal Skull look like fucking Raiders of the Lost Ark. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna give Crystal Skull a pass. There are some things that do work, but there's a lot of things that don't. The alien stuff. While I do see his points, it's still pretty lame. I mean, even that I wasn't. I don't know. This is like Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker for me. Like they're so bad, but they just go one ear and out the other for me. Whereas with Dial of Destiny, that movie just left me fuming. Yeah, Crystal Skull is bad, but Dial G for Geriatric is 10 times worse.
Ben, do you have anything to say about Crystal Skull?
Yeah, if I didn't watch this part of this movie recently, I wouldn't remember much of it because they don't offer anything that Indiana Jones would have to offer. Because if you took Indiana Jones out of the equation in this movie, then it wouldn't feel like an Indiana Jones movie. It would feel like your typical alien movie.
Okay.
That's why aliens don't work in this movie. Because the other three movies center around some sort of religion, like Christianity, with the Holy Grail, like that.
Okay. Should I let Mark go first, or should I let John go next? Since I know Mark's rant's gonna be 10 minutes long.
Go ahead.
You know what?
I'll just let John go.
Yeah, go and say your piece, John.
I do agree with Zach. I like the movie. I think it's a good movie, but Mark and I have talked about this many times. Idea that aliens built ancient civilizations' biggest achievements is an incredibly horrible and racist thing to suggest, and it's pretty much any serious scholar scoffed at the idea that it was all aliens because it's complete and utter bullshit. The only people that still believe it are those dumbasses on the History Channel, which hurts to fucking say, the fact that it's coming from History Channel. So, I wholeheartedly agree with Mark on that. That is a horrible thing to suggest, a horrible racist thing to suggest. And it's overall, I hate that aspect. I hate that aspect so very much. However, the rest of the movie and on the surface of a story, not thinking about that terrible part, I think it's good. I really enjoyed it as a kid, and I'm pretty much it years later, and I'm like, this is a good movie. I like it. It is until Dodgy for Geriatric came out, it was the weakest of the four. It's not the best, it's flawed, but I still enjoy the hell out of it. I think I didn't hate Shia LaBeouf. I didn't hate the fridge. I didn't hate the monkeys. I didn't hate the Cold War villains. I thought it was an overall fun adventure flick. Could it have been better? Yes, I do think Saucermen from Mars, the original script idea, was better. Also, that having some issues. Again, with the same issue with the whole alien thing. But I like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Probably not as much as Zach, but still an overall movie.
Okay. So now let's pass it on to Mark. Let's get to Mark, and this is going to be a long one, I bet.
It's not. Here's the thing. John already pretty much stated it. Yeah, it's a very offensive idea to a story. It's a whole idea of alien, ancient aliens and all this bullshit. But honestly, the biggest thing for me, movie wise, is exactly what Ben said. They broke with the religious theme. The first one had the theme of the Ark of the Covenant, Judaism. The second one, the Shankara stones, Hinduism, sacred to Hinduism, is a symbol of Shiva, Shiva the Destroyer, and the third as to, of course, the Holy Grail, Christianity. So this is the movie that broke with that trend. So and that was the big thing for me, that I hated that. But I mean, even before that, I just was not impressed with the movie overall. Like you said, the villain does not work. Cate Blanchett was just awful in this. Yeah. She's an amazing actress, but I just did not care for her or what they did with her. Commies just don't make as good enemies as the Nazis do. They just don't. So, especially not after the fall of the Berlin Wall, since the collapse of communism. Commies just don't make good enemies, but and I could even see what other people have pointed out, like that. I think John has pointed out before that when we talked about it, that what Lucas was trying to do is trying to incorporate elements of 50s culture, sci-fi, and everything, the greasers and all that. But like even then, and I love Shia LaBeouf, I really do. Even today, I really hope the guy gets himself cleaned up and everything, because I love him. I think he's a great actor. But I just think he overdid it in the role. He really overdid it in the role. And he just came across kind of hokey and one-dimensional. So I really just did not care for him. So, and plus it was just kind of weird seeing a old Indy, really, honestly. And I just still say the scene with the fridge nuke was stupid. It's a nuke. It's a nuke, a nuclear bomb. This isn't a grenade. This isn't a big bomb. This is a nuke, man. I mean, come on. That's just over the top silliness. I mean, that's just ridiculous and dumb.
Same with falling.
Which was, yes, it was. That was overrated. It was. It is. But at the same time, that movie, I think, has a lot more redeeming qualities than this one does, at least to me. So, but at the end of the day, I just didn't care for it.
And let's be honest with ourselves, as well much as Shia LaBeouf could be, he was not as bad and not as insufferable and not as much of a fucking asshole as Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Or Willie. Don't at me.
I can at least understand the whole thing with Bob, like he's a greaser, that's how they acted. Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character was just an annoying, stupid cunt who caused the fucking conflict.
Yep.
Fuck her.
I actually didn't mind her character. So, I mean, to me, she was kind of a reflection of Indy's earlier days. Like, they had already showed in Temple of Doom, which was a prequel, actually, that in Indy's, earlier life, he had been really kind of selfish, so he's kind of looking out for artifacts just to get rich, fortune, and glory. So, I mean, she's just kind of a reflection of that aspect of his character. So that's pretty much it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Are we ready to move on to, let me take this off.
Sure.
Okay.
Also, I just want to say one more thing. Willie was not nearly as annoying in the second half of the movie. She was far better in the second half of the movie.
Yeah, I don't have a hate boner for Willie like these fucking two assholes do.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
At
least with Kate Capshaw, she's nice to look at. Phoebe Waller-Bridge really ain't.
All right, so now it's less than 40 minutes, and already we got all of our first picks on. So we're making great time. All right, so yeah, pretty much. So now it's on to Devin's second pick.
My second pick is going to be Man of Steel. I'm not a sucker. I'm not as in love with Superman as I am with Spider-Man and with Batman and with Spider-Man. Like Batman and Spider-Man have always been my favorites. But when it comes to a lot of the Superman movies, the first Richard Donner movie is a classic. I like Superman 2. I have not bothered with Superman 3 or Superman 4. Superman Returns sucks. It's a boring movie with a serious identity crisis. But with Man of Steel, everyone was like shitting on this movie, and from the moment I saw it in theaters, I've always liked it. I like this. I like this darker take on Superman. I like the idea that he is not perfect, because we always see him as the beacon of hope, and he has to learn how to be the beacon of hope. It was refreshing not seeing Lex Luthor for the millionth time, even though we got General Zod again. I really liked the score. I liked the look of Krypton. I really liked Lois Lane, and Lois Lane is a character I don't typically like. Not even in the DC animated like universe continuity. I didn't even like her there. I liked her in this movie. And the whole like destruction at the end of the movie, like, was it a bit much? Yes. But how many supervillain battles ended with a lot of collateral damage? Look at the fucking Justice League cartoon. Look at how many times they destroyed the city.
Oh, dear God, yeah.
The episode where Superman was fighting Captain Marvel, a lot of the destruction in the city was caused by him. Not a lot of destruction was caused by Superman in this movie. A lot of it was caused by Zod, and I also didn't have an issue with him killing Zod in this movie. At least he felt sorry that he killed him in this movie. Where unlike Superman 2, where he throws him down a bottomless pit, and him and Lois are just laughing and smiling. And also, and one more thing before I end my point. This movie has a song by Chris motherfucking Cornell. And that is Seasons, and that is an awesome fucking song. But yeah, that's my point. I like Man of Steel.
And Chris Cornell also did the theme song to, like, he did one of the best James Bond theme songs as well.
Mm-hmm.
The best.
Fuck yeah.
All right, so does anyone agree with Devin's pick?
Hallelujah.
Does anyone disagree? Okay. Why don't you go first, John, since you're the odd man out?
I don't hate it. I remember liking it way back when, but upon rewatches and reading the comics, I just couldn't really get behind Zack Snyder's vision for Superman. I just didn't care for it. I think the movie is boring to look at. I didn't really like the non-linear editing. Wasn't a fan. I don't dislike it for a lot of the superficial reasons, because, as you said, the destruction that was caused mostly by Zod. I'm in a very confused state when it comes to Superman killing Zod. I'm still a little iffy on it. I don't know what to think about that. I get that he feels sorry for him, but the brutality of snapping his neck is a little too much for me, I think. I just thought it was done a little bit more creatively in Superman 2. But that's me. Man of Steel, it's a lot of confusion for me, because I really want to like it. I really want, because I love Henry Cavill. I do think he does do a really good job. And I do appreciate the fact that Snyder was trying to do something different after Superman Returns, which is ironically a film I don't hate as much as everyone else here. Not on my list, though. It's just, Man of Steel is just gray area. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And also, Amy Adams fucking sucks as Lois Lane. I don't care what anybody says. She is one of the worst Lois Lanes. The only reason she is not the worst, Kate Bosworth exists. So that's just me. But yeah, I don't hate Man of Steel, but I don't love it either.
Okay. For me, I actually remember back watching Man of Steel. It was in theaters. It was with Ben and it was with our dad. I think we actually saw it around your birthday, didn't we, Ben?
Yeah,
it was. I remember I had a lot of fun watching it. And I will say that this is honestly the first. I would honestly say that. I mean, as much as I do enjoy the first two of the Richard Donner Superman movies, I will say that this was honestly the one where it decided to take it in more of a grounded and kind of serious kind of tone. So I do like that aspect. He actually feels like just just kind of a grounded, realistic look at Superman. And a lot of the complaints I've heard about were just kind of like fanboy cry whining.
Thank you.
I'm looking at you, Blockbuster Buster. Yes. I mean, the fact that, Superman caused so much damage. It's like he's inexperienced. This is the first time. Isn't the first time he's had to do this. And the fact that he killed Zod at the end, that never bothered me because he didn't have a choice. And you saw the pain he was going through. You saw the pain after he had to. It's just like a lot of the complaints I heard was just cryboy fanboyism kind of thing. It's just I don't get it. So, but I mean, yeah, the action scenes were cool. The characters were well done. I mean, I guess the only complaint I probably would say is maybe that the narrative was a bit too choppy. I will say that because things were kind of told a little bit out of order. And I feel like they could have maybe smooth that out a little bit, but that's honestly the only complaint I would have had. So, Mark?
Thank you. I wish to address, like you said, I think you said it best. First of all, it is not dark. The first criticism, they call it, emo Superman, sad Superman. Shut the fuck up. It's not dark, it's grounded. You said it best. It is grounded. It's a realistic take. This is, what if Superman existed in the real world? This is the Batman Begins of Superman. This really could have been called Superman Begins. Okay. So, like you said, he is just a regular guy. He's not perfect. This is not Jesus Superman. He's a regular guy. He's a really good guy. And if you just look at him as a person, he's a really, really good guy. He's, he defends a woman he stands up for a woman who's being sexually harassed. He saves the workers on the oil rig. He saves the kids on the bus, even though he knows he's risking his secret identity. He's risking his big secret. So, this is a really, really good guy. And she even says herself, I said that there's no way you can do, when he says, I'll just stop helping people. She says, she says, the only way you can do that, disappear, is to stop helping people. And I said, that's not an option for you, because she knows he's a good person. So this is still a really good person. It's just that he's searching for his origins. He's searching for, who am I? This is the classic orphan searching for, who am I? Where did I come from? So of course he's come across as a little sad and kind of lonely. So there's always been that aspect of Superman, though. Zack Snyder was just the first to really explore it on film. It's been done in the comics before. John Byrne's Superman, Man of Steel reboot did it. Which is, I still say that's probably what inspired the title, at least that John Byrne Man of Steel reboot, which was a big influence on this. Down to Kryptonians coming from being cloned rather than being born naturally. I think that I just really appreciated it as a fresh take. I didn't even mind the nonlinear narrative. I've even watched it enough times to know that it's pretty smooth the way they do it. Like he hears the whales, and that reminds him of when he first developed super hearing, and the trauma surrounding that. I really appreciated that, seeing his trauma as a kid growing up with these powers, that we see that it's not just, oh, cool, I can do all this. It's like really fucking traumatizing for a kid to be different, Even Superman the movie delved into that somewhat. They just kind of did it with the hokey old Rockefeller movie, which works for that movie, which really works. But I mean, for his take, more grounded take, he really went into it. So, but I love the film. I really, really love it. So,
Ben,
my very favorite.
I feel like this was a Superman movie we needed. That takes a whole new step to Superman's origins and finding out who he is.
Yeah. Okay. If I could say one more thing, I think, with the destruction, for one thing, like you said, the vast majority of this was caused by the world engine.
Exactly.
Kryptonians. And the fight with Superman is odd. Like you said, he's inexperienced, so I mean, when he jumps over Zod shoves the tanker at him, he just jumps over it, it crashes into the parking building, he looks back like, oh shit, I did that. So he's inexperienced, and that's the thing. But I mean, Superman fights world-ending threats. This guy should not be stopping fucking bank robbers. I mean, come on, man. This guy fights world-ending threats. So, you need something on that scale that could cause that type of destruction just to justify this guy's existence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, anybody else have anything else to say about Man of Steel before we move on? No? Okay. All right. So, I guess we'll go on to my next pick. So, this is the movie, pretty much like with Batman and Robin. I can definitely see where people really don't like this movie, especially if you're not a fan of this franchise. This is a movie, like, maybe this could be considered more of a guilty pleasure as well. But, I mean, and this is one I watched as a kid. I remember begging my parents to take me to see this movie in theater since I was a big fan of this franchise. And it's, weirdly enough, the only animated movie that's actually on any of these picks. And that is Pokemon, the first movie. Now, let me state this. If you're not a Pokemon fan, I can definitely see you not being a fan of this movie. So I definitely get that. But a lot of the things that critics point out pretty much all can be blamed toward one thing. 4Kids. Have you seen the Japanese dub? The Japanese dub is awesome. I don't care what anyone says. And a lot of the problems pretty much were fixed in the Japanese dub. Whether it's Pokemon shouldn't fight, which even as a Pokemon fan, yes, I can admit that was stupid and makes no fucking sense. But the original message in the Japanese dub was Mewtwo is supposed to be a clone of the rarest Pokemon of all time. Well, Gen 1 at least, Mew. And he learns because of like some certain plot points, like with one of the scientists that created Mewtwo had a deceased daughter that he was able to have a psychic connection with, and he learns that because he comes through this whole mindset where clones are always the superior to the original, and it's like it's a story about existentialism. It doesn't. In fact, there was actually one line that was actually said in the Japanese dub that I want to see if I can pull up so I can read it. It's exactly what Mewtwo said at the end. I see now the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are. I honestly think that works way better than what 4Kids gave us. And I will say that yes, the ending about how Ash dies, and then the Pokemon cry. That was actually explained in the Japanese dub that the clones produce what's called the tears of life. And I mean, you can make it, it's kind of stupid too, but it at least makes it makes way more sense than just magical tears just coming out of somebody's ass.
Eyes, technically.
But you what? Well, you know what you know what I mean. But anyway, I like the animation. I think it's really it's good. The characters do feel like the characters from the original show. I do like and I don't care what anyone says. I do like the fight between Mew and Mewtwo. I think that was pretty cool. It's just like a lot of the complaints people have with it. Pretty much, either you're not too familiar with Pokemon, or it's just the fact that everything can be blamed toward 4Kids. So, not much else I could say. So, I don't know how much of any of you guys have seen this movie, but does anyone agree with my pick? Does anyone disagree? Okay. Dan?
I think it's fun to look at, but that's the problem. It's mainly made for eye candy. Or at least it's good to look at. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. I just think that there was a little bit more to it. And like I said, a lot of the problems people have with it could be blamed for the company that pretty much
the Japanese version does sound better. You're right. But I haven't seen it. But from the one we got, yeah, it sounds like it's mainly made for eye candy.
Okay.
Which is the same problem I had for the second Ninja Turtles movie. I mean, the Michael Bay one.
Yes, Devin?
Michael Bay. I haven't seen the movie. But speaking of Pokemon and 4Kids, I will say this. These donuts are great. Jelly filled are my favorite.
Nothing beats a jelly filled
donut.
Mark, have you seen Mark? I'm guessing you haven't seen this.
Honestly, I'm not seeing
I'm the only I'm like the bigger Pokemon fan here, so I should have worn my Ash Ketchum hat for this. Damn it. Oh well. Well, what
you can switch it out.
That means I would have to go pick it up. That's all right. It's fine. I mean, I have the movie right here, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine for a kid's movie, but when you look at it from adults' perspective, it's just looks like eye candy. That's the problem for me.
That's fair. That's fair. Like I said, this is probably more of a guilty pleasure than anything, but I will say that I don't mind popping this one in every once in a while, especially seeing how I will always have a soft spot for Pokemon. So, all right, where the hell did John go? He goes. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, so I guess while we're waiting for John, we'll go ahead and skip him for now, and then we'll go to I guess we'll go to Mark. So while we're waiting for John to get back, let me close this out.
All right. My third one is one that has been much maligned, but honestly,
Mark, you mean second?
It's all second pick. Yeah, whatever. Sorry. My second pick is one that has been much maligned, both on here and in general, the horror community. And but honestly, it's one that I still really enjoy. I enjoyed it pretty much about as much as the first one. So, It Chapter 2. It Chapter 2. I really appreciate. I thought the adults did a great job. I thought I enjoyed all of them. I enjoyed the fact that it was a lot closer to the book than the miniseries was, and I still love the old miniseries because, I mean, it was, I just got to keep in mind, this was a TV miniseries in the 80s, man. I mean, so even though it was on late at night, I mean, they were really restricted to what they could get away with. So, but I mean, as far as the movies, I appreciated how they were both a lot closer to the book. And honestly, I just don't see what everybody's problem is with It Chapter 2, honestly. So, I mean, I understand that people don't like it as much, but thank you, son. Happy birthday to my son, by the way. He turned 14 yesterday. But,
happy birthday, Jack.
Happy birthday, Jack.
He made his appearance. Now he's done. But yeah, I just really like it. So I loved it. So
okay, does anyone agree with It Chapter 1 or It Chapter 2? I'm sorry. Does anyone disagree with It Chapter 2? Okay. Devin, why don't you go first since you're kind of so-so?
I have a personal connection with the story. The 1990 miniseries was my very first horror movie. I am a huge fan of the novel. I love the book. And despite some flaws, I do like the first movie. But with Chapter 2, I just have a love-hate relationship for it. I will admit, the stuff that's good is good. Like Bill Skarsgård proves once again he is the superior Pennywise. I liked the stuff they got from the scenes we got to see from the book, like the Paul Bunyan scene, the Adrian Mellon scene. They nailed that scene. There were a lot of effective scenes. A lot of the actors for the adults were pretty spot on, like James Ransone, Jay Ryan, Jessica Chastain, like perfect casting for the adult counterparts of those kids. However, when it comes to the stuff I didn't like, this tone of this movie is way too inconsistent. The tone for this movie is wrong. This should not have been a horror comedy. It makes sense for the first parts because we're dealing with kids. But like with Halloween 2018, as much as I like that movie, humor is used at inappropriate times. And there's a lot of scenes that were meant to be scary but just come off as unintentionally funny. I laugh my ass off every time I see the Mrs. Curse scene. What they do with her is fucking dumb. Like, really? I think it would. I mean, yes, the witch was from the book. From what I remember, it becomes the witch from Hansel and Gretel, whereas in the miniseries it became Bev's dad.
Yeah.
Instead of doing a really stupid CGI-looking old lady with crazy hair, derpy eyes, and two mouths, I think it would have been a lot creepier if they just had her be like a regular, like, old woman, but just a creepy, like, naked old woman just running at you, or maybe a zombie. The CGI in this movie I thought was pretty rough, especially the de-aging CGI. What I would have done ahead of time if I were the director, basically what James Cameron is doing with the Avatar sequels, I would have had the kids scenes written ahead of time and had them filmed from beforehand, because with the de-aging CGI, it's very distracting with three kids in particular. The first one is Ben. Ben, the kid that played Ben, Jeremy Ray Taylor, lost a lot of weight, and you can tell they just CGI'd on all that weight and just threw on a bad weight on him. With Jack Dylan Grazer as Eddie, the wig is inconsistent. You can tell his voice is digitalized, and Finn Wolfhard, need I say more? And another thing with the bad humor, the inconsistent tone. Why the hell are we playing Angel in the Morning during, just randomly playing that song during Eddie's encounter with the leper? Like, why? And I felt the way they defeated it at the very end of the movie was fucking dumb. We're gonna defeat it by bullying it. And I also felt making Richie gay was just for the agenda, dun dun dun, because there's a bunch of really creepy, disgusting fangirls out there that think it's okay to ship kids and sexualize them, and it's fucking gross. I just see a lot of missed opportunities with this movie, and there were scenes from the book I would have loved to have seen adapted into the movie. Same with the first one. Like, I would have loved to have seen Ben see the mummy on the ice. I would have loved to see Patrick Hoxter be killed by the flying leeches. I don't know, like, I'm passionate about this because I'm passionate about the story and the characters. To me, the best way to do an adaptation of it would either do it as like this full epic horror movie series, or even better, a full TV show, since there's so much lore and there's so much ground you gotta cover.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I'm going too long, but I'm passionate. I'm passionate about this story.
Yeah. Fair. I mean, I can see your point. Like, I personally, I love the Mrs. Kurt scene. I do think it's creepy, but I can see why you think it's unintentionally, funny. So, and a lot of people have said that. So I get it. I don't necessarily agree, but I get it. So I understand that. So,
I don't hate this. I don't hate this movie at all. I'm just so.
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah, for me, I see it pretty much like when I combine the first chapter 1 and it chapter 2 together. Like, I see it like all as one complete story. I mean, yeah, there are some really dumb and silly moments in it, but I just look at it like this is pretty much. I just see it as like, okay, now the kids are all grown up. Like, how are things different? How are things going to be different now that they've all left Derry? Like, how are and they all have to come back to fight it, and it's like, how is like the past going to reflect on everything about them going up against Pennywise? So I did it that way. I do like the casting was really good. I do like the casting, and I like how the characters are trying to go through and all. I mean, yeah, I can understand what Devin's point about like some of the like agenda dun 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 kind of thing. But I mean, I think it's pretty much like it's a nice conclusion to this film series, or the conclusion part. Yeah. John, you want to go next?
I loved this movie when it came out. I thought some weird editing choices and all that. The de-aging didn't bother me. The only one I noticed was Finn Wolfhard, which he looked a little weird, but again, de-aging didn't bother me. I thought it was really effective. I thought it was really interesting. I liked the further flashbacks. I don't mind with the ending of them defeating it. It just like, I feel like they had more power as adults, because even though they're believing in the kid things, I feel like their mind is now more powerful, because an adult's mind is like more, filled with intelligent brains and all that. And I feel like that exemplified their power even more so against it. And because they become more in touch with their childhood selves, and I feel like that gains even more power against it, and I think that really worked. It did more good than it did bad, and I feel like with Devin, I see what you're saying, but in terms of other people, I feel like a lot of their stuff was kind of superficial and a little dumb, and that kind of thing. But I loved it. Chapter 2. I agree with Zach. I don't think it's the best Stephen King adaptation ever, but I do think it was overall an effective movie. The first one is better, yes, no doubt. However, I think It Chapter 2 did a really good job with what they were trying to do. But I would like to see that TV series idea, because I agree that there is so much lore that I would love to see covered. I want to see that
Sterling's It.
the motherfucker. Muschietti, I want to see your goddamn director's cut. Promised us a director's cut of both. Give us those fucking director's cuts, you asshole.
We need the fucking space turtle, Andy.
All right.
We need a space turtle.
Okay, Ben, do you have anything to say about It Chapter 2?
I just not much. Just that I think that Devin proved some good points, but yet at the same time, it proves a nice conclusion to the first one.
Okay.
In which how the kids managed to defeat Pennywise for the final time, even though it's not effective as it's promised.
I was gonna say I'll take the final fight over the beating the shit out of the. Well, then again, I mean, this one was
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
neither one of them were kind of
true.
well, I mean, I agree.
At least you could say this for both.
True.
Neither had the child orgy. We
Yeah.
can agree that was the good part.
Yeah.
yes, thank God.
Yeah.
But I do want to make this point
We do
before
not
we go to
speak
John.
about-
I'm sorry. I do want to make this point before we go to John. I'm sorry, but I don't like the idea of Stan's death being suicide, being some like heroic sacrifice. How I always interpreted it from the book is he never forgot about it. Never forgot. And once Mike called him, it was just too much for him, and he had to kill, and he slit both of his wrists. That is in the novel. That is such a disturbing, powerful scene. It's a little unintentionally funny in the miniseries when she sees his body.
Oh no!
It-
Pops her can of beer.
And they can figure out the rest.
But well, I mean, I don't know. I agree with John on the bullying thing, because I mean, to me, they're just flipping the tables on him. I mean, they're survivors, and that represents them overcoming their fears and actually turning them against it. So against Pennywise. So that does not bother me at all. They're just flipping the tables on him. It didn't bother me Richie being gay. He's not the character I would have chosen to make gay. I mean, I would have chosen either Eddie or maybe Stanley to make them gay. I wouldn't have chosen Richie.
Well, wasn't it confirmed that Stanley was technically gay because he had a crush on Bill?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's a good. I don't know. That's
well, because when he was dying, when he killed himself, he was like imagining Bill and how he like always loved him or whatever. So I always they made Stanley gay too.
He just said before he killed himself. He just said, I promised Bill." And when Spider Stan came out, which honestly, God, I liked that part.
Yeah,
like, I would have still been alive if it wasn't for you, Bill.
I mean, to me, one change I really didn't like, and this was actually from the first one. I didn't like the fact that it was Bill who came up with the pact rather than Stanley, because it was Stanley in the book who came up with the pact, not Bill. Not Bill.
Yeah, they made
Stanley
it Bill.
So that was.
I'll say though, the thing I forgot to mention is even though Jessica Chastain does do a very good job, honestly, if they wanted to pick someone who was also a great actress who would have actually looked like a grown-up version of Sophia Lillis, I think Amy Adams would have been better. Because this is just maybe my OCD being like, why does Bev's eyes go from blue to brown? Does she just wear permanent contacts now or something?
She was what Tom Rogan. How many times do you think he messed up her eyes?
So I'm just like,
joke, I know.
Okay.
It's like it was. I think Jessica Chastain, great job. She was great. I just think Amy Adams, she looks like a grown-up version of Sophia Lillis. She would have been perfect in terms of appearance, and she is a great actor. Just because I don't like her as Lois Lane doesn't mean she isn't a great actress.
Okay.
I think she would have done a spectacular job, and that would have been better, at least just for me, in terms of that.
So wow, you got 20 minutes about one pick. Wow,
we're all passionate about it. What do we say?
My bad.
Yes, Mark, it's all your fault. How dare you put? I'm just kidding. All right, so John, you go ahead and go next since we skipped you after.
Yeah, sorry. Eat, and after this time, I'm not waiting 3.5 hours to fucking eat. So for my second pick, it wasn't hated. It was like mixed, similar with Mars Attacks for Devin. It was mixed, but it was a bomb. I love this movie despite its problems, and that is Tomorrowland. I absolutely fucking adore Tomorrowland. It was such a great movie. I think Brad Bird did a really great job with with the characters, with the overall story. The only problem is Damon Lindelof had to fucking write it, and that means the ending fucking sucked because that dude does not know how to fucking write an ending. Lost and Watchmen being the prime example. Yes, the third act wasn't good, and and the message is kind of beating you over the head, and Hugh Laurie gives a mediocre performance. However, the rest of the movie, the buildup is still genuinely fantastic. I thought Clooney did a great job. I thought Britt Robertson did a good job. I thought the little girl did a good job. I thought they had really good chemistry with one another. It was really funny. It was really cute. I really like just overall. What I love about the movie is it was so rushing at the time to have a hopeful, optimistic view of the future. Like, just like I get it, humans are evil, we're gonna destroy her, blah blah. Okay, I get it. Give me Star Trek, give me the Orville, give me Tomorrowland, give me some of the hope. I need that goddamn hope. I need to like keep living, man. Like, I get it. Humans are the worst thing ever, but like, give me some of that hope. Give me some of that motherfucking hope. I need that hope. So I think Tomorrowland did a really great job with that. I thought the build-up was still excellent. I thought it was so just I thought it was well done. I thought it was refreshing. And it is an absolute shame that it bombed. And even then, a lot of people didn't like it. And I'm like, I don't get it. I never got the hate for this movie. For what little there was of it, it still received a good amount. And I never got it. I thought it was fantastic.
All right. Does anybody agree with John's pick? Does anybody disagree?
No comment.
Okay.
I've not seen it.
Okay. For me, Tomorrowland, I'm with you, John. I do enjoy this movie. I do like how, like, the world building was just fantastic. I mean, yeah, I can argue that things fall apart like by the end and all, but I thought it was like it was more of like just a meaning of like a hope for the future, an optimistic look into the future. I do like that aspect. I do love the look of Tomorrowland. It looks fantastic. Like the moment where you see that kid on the jetpack flying in the air, and then we looks into the sky, you just see this futuristic, this utopia kind of a place. I think it looks amazing. I do like the story and all. It was really interesting. So I do, and I mean, it's not my favorite of Brad Bird's movies, but I would say that this is probably one of his more underrated films.
Yeah, it's probably his weakest, but if this is his weakest, that just goes to show how great of a director he is.
Yeah. All right.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I don't remember much about it, honestly. I mean, I won't say it's great, but I mean, I remember I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I had a fun time with it. So, like you said, I like the world building. I like the acting. I thought Clooney was terrific. But I really enjoyed it. I don't see what anybody's problem with it was with it, honestly.
So Ben, why are you kind of so?
I mean, it's creative, but it gets kind of boring at times.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
It can be just your stereotypical futuristic movie.
Okay. All right.
That's just me speaking.
I got you. That's fine.
And I'm surprised you haven't seen it with how much you fucking jerk off the Iron Giant and Brad Bird.
Yeah. Seeing how you pretty much that you dream of Brad Bird every night.
It's like you dream about Miyazaki.
No, he's got a point.
You want to join him too, Mark?
Just saying. He's not wrong.
All right. Into the fan zone you go.
It's better than dreaming of Zack Snyder every night.
True.
At least
Mr. I want you. All right then. So let me bring it back up and first. Hold on. Wait. What the fuck? Hold on. Sorry about that. Okay. So now, like, whose are we on again? I
think it's Ben's turn.
Yeah, it's Ben's turn.
Yeah.
Because Mark went before me, so now it's his turn.
Okay, hold on.
Devin back in his spot.
For some reason, shit. Hold on. It's phantom zoning you guys for no reason. I clicked once, and for some reason, it's just acting weird. Ben, you want to go?
Okay. My second pick is also another guilty pleasure. It's
Hold on, let me close this out.
You're good, man. Go ahead.
Okay. It's also a guilty pleasure. It's Freddy versus Jason.
Hold on.
Now, we don't get to much of the fighting until like an hour in, and that's the main problem of this movie. But when we do get to it, it is a lot of fun seeing these two go at each other, like Jason slamming Freddy through a bunch of windows or shooting air torpedoes, and even before the fight, it is cool to see Jason on fire while swinging a machete.
Yeah.
So, not the best of either series, but still a good time.
Okay.
Nice.
Does anybody agree with Freddy versus Jason? Okay. I think Freddy versus Jason, it is a lot of fun. I mean, this is the first time we've seen two major horror icons going at each other. I mean, this was a movie that was
Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
One of I should say, asshole. But I mean, this has been in production hell since Friday the 13th Part 7, which was going to be Freddy versus Jason, but
Part 8. Part 8 was right. It was Part 8.
No, it was Part 7.
I thought it was Part 10.
No,
because remember
it
was
7. It was 7.
After Jason Goes to Hell, that's when they had Fred.
No, but I'm saying this was in the idea was in it. The idea was there since Part 7 because
when he fights the girl with
yes, that was going to be
Scary powers.
But I really have fun with Freddy versus Jason with this. So I mean, is it my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie? No, I mean, or even my favorite Friday the 13th movie? No, but I mean, it's still a blast. It's still a blast to watch. So not much else I could say.
I mean, I agree. Freddy vs. Jason is absolutely a blast to watch.
Exactly.
Not a masterpiece, but then again, are any of the Friday the 13th movies really masterpieces?
No.
But this was actually how I found out about both characters. These were the movies that got me into both Freddy and Jason. Once we get to the fight scenes are a lot of fun. This is one of my favorite looks for Freddy, besides New Nightmare. And I felt for Robert Englund's last performance as Freddy, he went out great. I love the I like the idea of Freddy using Jason to try and to make people remember him.
Yeah.
I mean, not amazing by any means. I mean, the characters aren't anything to write home about, but that's typical for a Friday the 13th movie.
Or Nightmare.
Unless you're Part 4.
Yeah. Or Nightmare on Elm Street, unless you're Dream Warriors.
And let's not forget when he's just when Jason's just killing all the people in that rave, and he just makes the guy's head face the back, and he just goes. But that was awesome. I mean, yeah, he's not Ken Kirsinger's his performance as Jason was fine. He's not Derek Mears. He's not Ted White. He's not even Kane Hodder, but he gets the job done.
Yeah.
All right, John.
Yep. I love Freddy vs. Jason. It's not the most perfect movie ever made, but it is fun. I think it more than made up for. I think it and New Nightmare more than made up for Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare. Even though I don't hate the movie as much as everyone else does, I think it's so bad it's good. But that's just me. And then, I think, ironically, Freddy vs. Jason and Jason X also made up for Jason Goes to Hell and Jason is on a boat 90 minutes. So, I think both it and their last solo movies definitely made up for bad ones of the series. It's a ton of fun. Robert Englund has fun. The guy who plays Jason has fun. It's a fun movie, and it just it's like perfect in its simplicity. It's two guys who fucking kill people, fight each other. Like, it's more fucking fun than that. Come on.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What were you expecting? Fucking Citizen Kane? Come on
No,
now.
exactly. Yeah, I'm with John. I mean, this is just a blast.
And sorry to cut you off, Mark, but it just makes me further angry at Mustafa Akkad that we couldn't get Halloween Hellraiser. Mustafa Akkad, fuck yourself.
No, that would have been awesome. Jesus. Yeah.
The second script was fucking awesome. It was fucking awesome. Halloween in Hell, Mike versus Pinhead would have been fucking awesome.
That really would have been. Yeah. That really would have been. But yeah, but I mean, I agree. This film is just a blast. It's a blast. It's a hell of a lot of fun. It's everything that, honestly, as a kid growing up, who loved these movies, both franchises, who just never missed them in the theater, just everything we always wanted to see as kids, So, I mean, it was just a lot of fun seeing them go at each other. I love the way it almost made Jason the protagonist, the way Freddy takes advantage of him and uses him to try to bring himself into the real world, which is Freddy's constant thing, and the way Jason almost winds up being kind of the hero at the end, really. So, because Freddy somehow, as hilarious as he is, he's somehow even more disgusting than Jason's. Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. Like you said, I had the same thing with Jason X. I had a hell of a lot of fun with that movie. It's just they know how ridiculous it is, and they just go over the top with it. So, like you said, I agree. It totally makes up for Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. As the meme said, do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
Yeah, the second time that's been
exactly. So,
the Final Nightmare, the final chapter, like. All right, yeah, come on.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. All right.
So this gave us what the fans wanted.
Exactly.
Freddy and Jason fighting. There we go.
Bingo.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So I guess we're ready to move on.
Yeah.
So all right, let me close this out. All right. So don't worry, Zach's next pick won't be as controversial as the last one. But we'll see.
All right, my number 4 is going to be a fairly cheesy pick, but I don't care. I love this movie to death. My number 4 is going to be 8-Legged Freaks. Now, funny story with this one. As a kid, I was scared shitless of it because some of the imagery I saw from it at a young age left me to think that it was this dark, ultra-violent, serious gore fest of a movie. When in reality, it's actually a horror comedy. And a pretty damn funny one at that. Now, make no mistake, the story here is nothing deep or layered, and neither are the characters. But it's fun. It's charming and quirky. Especially when you get an actor like David Arquette in this, you know what you're going to get. It's David Arquette. He just defines likable. And the story here, while your basic, familiar, giant bug invasion film, I think is actually done pretty well. It's all about execution, even if your story is something familiar and basic. And I was enjoying it. Despite the tone being mainly horror comedy, the movie actually has some genuinely chilling and effective moments with the spiders. Especially with the big main spider and its ability to liquefy the internal organs and all that, and that's how she eats her prey. That's a fucked up, scary concept. The film manages to juggle its tones very well, despite being horror comedy. It manages to not be tonally inconsistent when the darker, more serious moments pop up, and I'm sorry, I gotta applaud that. Bravo to them. And yeah, if you haven't seen it, I would really recommend it. It's not something serious or grounded compared to Arachnophobia as far as spider films go, but it's probably my second favorite one ever made as far as spider creature features. It's a fun watch. It's quirky, cheesy and charming, but that's the point. It's a throwback to those corny cheeseball 50s movies from that era. And I think it's a nice little throwback. So watch it if you haven't, or if you have already watched it, watch it again for refresh. My number 4 for disliked films that I actually enjoy.
Okay, so does anybody agree with Zach's pick? Does anybody disagree?
I'm going to disagree, even though I haven't seen the film because I hate spiders. So fuck that movie.
I haven't seen it, so I can't comment.
Neither have I.
It has been forever. It has been forever since I've seen this movie. I used to watch this all the time as a kid. But he said "Ate Like a Prince." I'm like, wow, that's a throwback. I haven't seen them forever. Maybe I gotta watch it again. Who knows?
Well, that was certainly quick.
I just like a Mark disagree with because he's a fucking pussy.
I hate spiders. I have always had a fear of spiders, so fuck spiders.
If that's the case, then I know your least favorite Harry Potter movie is Chamber of Secrets just because of the spiders.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on. Okay, so we got all right. So now on to Devin's third pick.
I don't know if I will get ripped apart for this one, but because this is a movie a lot of people hated, but I've always liked it. Come at me, bitches. Daredevil. But mainly the director's cut. The other cut is fine enough, but the director's cut just elevates it. Even more. Develops the characters more, adds a lot more layers, makes the story more interesting, adds a lot of loose plot threads that were left out on the cutting room floor. Also, it gave us the darker R rating. I liked that. I really liked Ben. I liked Ben Affleck as Daredevil. I liked Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin. I liked Colin Farrell. I liked Colin Farrell as Bullseye. Like he has an awesome introduction. Like his first scene is him killing a guy with a fucking paperclip.
Fuck yeah.
Not a gun, not a knife, a paper clip. He kills Frank Miller with a pencil. He kills a woman with a peanut shell. How is that not cool? The first movie, so it's a little more cheesy, but the director's cut tone it's a lot more darker, it's a lot more mature. And I also will admit, as much as I do like this movie, I do think Jennifer Gardner sucks as Elektra.
Thank you.
The
Liar.
The soundtrack is so 2000s. Like really. Let me talk. Like Evanescence, Seether, Nickelback, Creed. There's even a Routing Pull song that has Rob Zombie. And that song wasn't great, one of Rob Zombie's best, but still, I like the moral that I like how we learned the moral with Matt Murdock in this movie. It's like he's going in for the kill. He's like, I've been waiting for this day since I was born. Before he goes for Kingpin, he stops, and Michael Clark Duncan asks him why. I'm not the bad guy. I'm like, good, cool, I like that. Yes, the Netflix show is 10 times better, and Affleck's performance as Batman is much better than his performance in this movie. But I still think he did good. But never really understood a lot of the overwhelming hate this movie got outside of Ben Affleck's playing a superhero, yada yada yada. And I'll also admit the CGI hasn't held up, but it was the early 2000s, and let's be honest, the CGI here wasn't as bad as, say, Hulk. Yeah, that's my third pick. I've always liked Daredevil. Yeah.
All right. So, does anyone agree with Daredevil? Yeah, I do remember seeing Daredevil in theaters. I think it was late middle school, early high school when I saw it. I remember like having a and I really enjoyed myself watching it. I have a lot of fun watching it. Yeah, I'll say that Bullseye, he is such a badass. You're good, baby, but me, I'm magic. That was awesome. Yeah, like he is just a fun villain, and I do like Michael Clark Duncan, may he rest in peace, as the Kingpin. He was really good. I mean, I do agree that the director's cut is better. I didn't hate Jennifer Gardner as Elektra. Like, she wasn't. I'll say this. I mean, I didn't hate her. She was okay. I can guarantee you, she was way worse in her spinoff movie. She was way worse in her spinoff movie, Elektra. So, but fuck that movie. But I will say that I do really. I have a lot of fun. Yeah, they do explain things a lot more in the director's cut than they do in the theatrical cut. So, but I do have a fun time watching this movie. John?
The fuck did you just say? That you're gonna get ripped apart? What the fuck did you say? Don't you dare think for me, sir. Motherfucker, got the director's cut right fucking here. Don't assume, asshole. Director's cut is fucking fantastic. It's brilliant. It's amazing. Fuck yourselves.
All right, Mark?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, it's definitely has some problems, you know. I mean, I wouldn't rate it the highest thing in the world, but I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, I have the DVD. I mean, from back in the day, I got the DVD. I mean, I would just kind of watch it or repeat, and it's had some weaknesses, you know. I mean, it's kind of shares some of the weaknesses of a lot of the comic book films at the time. You know, it's really over the top, you know, kind of that really over the top kind of nature. A lot of the films at that time. I like Fantastic Four share some of those same weaknesses, and like they were kind of influenced by, like honestly, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. They kind of share that problem with them. Not nearly as over the top as Batman and Robin, of course, but I mean the whole kind of one-dimensional heroes and villains and everything. But I mean, it's still a whole hell of a lot of fun for what it is, you know. I mean, and I didn't think Jennifer Garner was very good either as Elektra. I mean, maybe she's not horrible, but I mean, her acting is really, really lacking in this. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, it's still a really good movie. It's still a really fun movie. Michael Clark Duncan is a fucking boss as the Kingpin. Colin Farrell is just a lot of fun. His introduction, like my brother said up here, his introduction is fucking fantastic. I mean, he lets you know right away who the fuck this guy is, and he just leads it to it and has fun with it. And it's like, okay, this is just a bad fucking dude, man. And when he kills her, he's like, bullseye. I mean, I love that shit, you know.
Okay.
I thought Ben Affleck was really good as Daredevil. I really enjoyed it. So I thought he was, you know. Plus, I really thought it was really cool the effects they used to show how he sees, you know, how he his kind of sonar type thing, you know. So I thought that was really cool. But so,
okay.
You know, and it's a good story. I like the fact that his backstory, you know, I thought it was really fascinating. It's cool.
Okay. Ben?
Yeah, I like this movie too. I thought it was well shot, and the views of Hell's Kitchen were nice. And there were some problems, like Jennifer Garner as Elektra was okay, was fine, and there were some moments that were kind of meh. But other than that, I really enjoyed this movie.
Okay.
I will say she had
action was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, a little bit off topic, but this movie is actually what introduced me to Evanescence when I was in high school.
Yeah, exactly. One good song in this whole.
No, I was gonna say two good songs. There were two Evanescence songs in the movie.
Oh yeah, right. You're right. There were two of them. Yeah.
I heard the song by Cedar was really good.
Yeah.
And now I find myself. Wish I was someone else.
All right, so we ready to move on? So my third pick, this is, I know we pretty much mentioned, mentioned comedies before with Mars Attacks and Eight-Legged Freaks, but I think this is the only one that's actually like a full up straight comedy, no horror, sci-fi mix. And this is a movie that I honestly find very hilarious to watch. In fact, I still watch it. That is Step Brothers. I really don't understand the hate behind it. Even back when it first came out, I remember I was at my community college, and one bunch of critics that actually used to watch was Spill.com, which was hosted by Corey Coleman, who now runs Still Toasted. I remember both Martin and Carlisle from Spill.com both gave it a somewhat bullshit rating. I have no idea why. I found this movie to be hilarious because both John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell, they both work off each other. A lot of the funny things actually kind of reminds me of something that Ben and I used to like. We used to argue a lot when we were little, maybe when we were in middle school and all. We did a lot of immature things. It's silly and over the top, but I think it really works. It's just it's I'm gonna rub my nutsack on your drum set thing. But it's so funny. I still the boats and hose. Get on my boats and hose. Come on, man. It's just a lot of the things just kind of reminds me of something that Ben and I like back when we were little. It's like we would always we would have arguments and we would always like be goofy and silly and all. I still laugh every time I watch this movie. So that's my number 3. Does anyone agree with my pick? Does anybody disagree? Okay, why are you so?
I see this as a movie that has a lot of funny moments, like the boats and hose scene. Did we just become best friends? Yeah. The fucking Carolina wine mixer when they're singing.
That was funny.
Will Ferrell singing that song. That was a song that I used to hear a lot from my mom. That and Mark, you know this part. Ass and titties. Ass and titties.
That was fun.
But there's funny moments, but I don't think the movie is just gut-bustingly funny as a lot of people say it is. It's far from being one of my favorite comedies of all time. Not everything can be Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Okay.
But then again, that's a really high standard.
What about you, Mark? Why do you agree with me?
Because like you said, I mean, I think it's a really funny movie. I avoided watching it for a long time too because they had such bad reviews, and plus I just kind of got tired of Will Ferrell everywhere. I mean, as funny as he is, I just got kind of tired of him everywhere, like I once did about Jim Carrey. But I finally watched it. I was like, this is funny as shit, and funny as hell. So I had a good time with it. So I mean, I liked it. So I mean, yeah, the story's dumb, but I mean, the story in most comedies is dumb. It's a comedy.
It is pretty much exactly.
The premise is nothing more than a setup premise for the comedy. That's it for the joke.
I mean, as long as it can make me laugh, exactly. if it's a straight up comedy, if it could at least make me laugh, then I can forget the story.
Exactly. I mean, that's its one job. You have one job. You're a comedy. You have one job. And we talked about it before. John has talked about it a lot. Comedy is along with horror, the most subjective. Yeah, I think you said after horror, the most subjective genre. I'd say maybe even more so than horror, but it'd be or at least up there with it. But because I mean, what one makes one person laugh will not necessarily make another person laugh. What makes one person scared will not necessarily make another person scared. So I mean, yeah, it's every comedy is gonna work for some, not for others. But yeah, I still think it's really funny. So.
Okay, Ben. You got
I really liked this movie. I thought it was funny, relatable, and had a lot of memorable moments. But not my favorite comedy. I'd still take something like Wayne's World or Spaceballs.
Wayne's World, party time. Yeah, Wayne's World. All right, so
and I haven't seen it. So,
okay.
but I didn't realize people hated this movie. From when it said go, I noticed that like almost everybody loves this movie. So the fact that it's seen as an unpopular film,
it was hated. Like I think even Roger Ebert gave it like 1.5 stars out of 4.
Okay, that's Roger fucking Ebert. Like, really, the man shits on good movies all the fucking time. Like, really, but yet he makes fucking Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Hate it. Yeah, critics hate it. I mean, yeah, critics
always fucking hate comedies. Like, come on.
Okay.
They always hate horror movies and they always hate comedies. It's the bread and butter to hate fucking good shit. So,
all right, John, you want to go to your third pick?
Yes, this is probably gonna get some amount of hate. But we did talk about it in the last stream, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just further my thoughts on it because I really, really love this movie, and that is Avengers: Age of Ultron. When I saw this movie, I still really didn't like the first Avengers movie. As I said last time, I have gotten some appreciation for it, considering how fucking bad the last two have been. And what the MCU just is now. But when I saw this, I fucking absolutely adored it. I thought it was so much better. I thought it was well done. And I thought it was a much more intriguing movie. I absolutely loved James Spader as Ultron. I thought he was great. Yeah, the lips is a little weird. I don't get why they did that, but like that's a nitpick at best. I thought the team's overall I thought their chemistry on this, they didn't have faux like butting heads like it was in the last movie, which was a little dumb. They belong together really well now. And I will say maybe the movie tries to do a little bit much. Maybe they're set up, but that didn't really bother me. I thought, the one marvelous scene I think that Nando did with them trying to lift Thor's hammer that is easily one of the best MCU scenes, period. That was such a fucking great scene. Just like almost everything about this movie is fantastic. I thought the climax was great. I thought Ultron was great. I thought the chemistry was great. I thought the action was great. I thought that this was pretty much everything that the Avengers should have been, but wasn't. And I feel like Joss Whedon more than gave us a satisfactory sequel. And even though, yeah, it's flawed, but it's easily the best Avengers film by far. Like, it's not even close. And it still remains one of my favorite MCU movies.
Okay, so does anybody agree with Age of Ultron? Does anybody disagree?
Sorry.
I was gonna say, for me, I'm honestly kind of, I don't hate Age of Ultron. It's okay. I'll say it's okay. I do like some of the story elements, like a little bit of what they're going for. I do say that I do like the Ultron as a character, but I will say that it was one of the ones where it seemed like parts of it seemed kind of a little forgettable for me. I understand some of your points and all. It was just kind of okay for me. It's fine. It's there. That's just how I see it. I disagree. I don't think it's the best of the MCU. I don't think it's the best of the MCU movies or even the best of the Avengers films. But I mean, it's all right. Devin?
I enjoy Age of Ultron, but I do acknowledge it's not the best Avengers movie. Come at me, bro. That's still Infinity War. But I never got like the anger behind this movie. Like, it's not a piss me the fuck off. Especially from what we've gotten from the MCU. Like, this movie did not piss me off like Homecoming or She-Hulk or shit and Wonder. But it's fine. I enjoyed it. It's
Ben?
one of the more forgettable ones.
It's a fine Avengers movie, but I mean, it has some problems. Like, I don't understand Ultron's motivation and how Quicksilver could be killed so easily. But it has its moments.
Okay. So Mark, why do you think this is? Why do you hate this movie?
You know, the way John sees Age of Ultron is the way I had hoped to see Age of Ultron before it came out, before I saw it. I had really high hopes for this movie. It looked a lot darker, like you had a much better, more well-developed villain. You had James fucking Spader, who was just amazing as an actor. And I do think he did a good job, but it looked a lot more serious than Avengers. So I had actually had really high hopes for this one. But so if I hate it or seem like I hate it, it's really only a reflection of just how disappointed I was. Because I wish I could see it like John. I wish I could, but I mean the uneven tone. What was got it for me was the uneven tone. This is where the Marvel comedy thing really, really, really hurt this movie. It kind of works for Avengers because the whole movie has that same tone. But for this movie, you just had, it was serious. Then you have some dumb, lighthearted joke, I mean, something stupid. So, I mean, it keeps going like that. So, although they did give us, Hulk versus the Hulkbuster, so I'll give it that. But I mean, the uneven tone is really what ruined it for me. And plus, I think they pared down Ultron so much. You're like, oh no, don't worry, Vision has locked him out of the nukes. He can't get to the nukes. So I mean, their backup plan for that, and I can see why you wouldn't want that, but I mean, their backup plan for that, have them pick up a small country and drop it. What? I mean, I don't get it. So It was just kind of dumb to me. And honestly, I was even excited for the twins. They said we'll have them meet the twins. And they just kind of turned out to be a real letdown. So especially Quicksilver, which is, God, holy shit, was he a letdown? So boy,
especially when compared to Days of Future Past.
Yeah, seriously, yeah, because I mean that really ruined. I mean that I can't even blame that for ruining him because they did that themselves because they did nothing to make him endearing or anything. Poor Aaron Taylor Johnson just got nothing to do, and they just killed him off, and it was just like big deal. Nobody gave a fuck, and not a single fuck was given that day. So I mean, even Elizabeth Olsen, as good as an actress she is, she had nothing to do, You did have a really great scene between them and Hawkeye, but that's all on fucking Hawkeye. God, what's his name? The actor.
Jeremy Renner.
Jeremy Renner. Yes, thank you, John. Jeremy Renner, who is just an amazing actor. I love that scene where he says, "Hey, look, I'm a guy with a fucking bow and arrow." Jesus Christ, I mean, none of us feel like we belong here. So, I mean, I don't feel like I belong here. So I mean, whatever. It's just go out and do your best. I mean, that's a great scene, but I mean. It's just so uneven to me for that uneven tone. So.
Yeah, and it's a shame because, and it makes Justice League, like what Joss Whedon did during the filming of that, like make me like question everything because like literally the same thing happened to Joss Whedon on this movie.
Yes.
Feige forced to cut out a lot of shit to bring it down so there's more showings per day.
Mm-hmm.
And fucking Joss Whedon then went on to suck Feige's dick and was like, oh yeah, my director's cut made it to theater. No, it fucking didn't. No, it fucking didn't. As much as I love this movie, I know for a fact Joss Whedon's director's cut would have been a hell of a lot better.
This is supposedly why he walked away, isn't it? Because I mean, they had that creative difference. He wanted to go darker. Feige for the comedy. So
that's why he was dumped in favor of like Dumb and Dumber for Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah,
it just and it's a shame because it's like you became the very thing you swore to destroy. Like
And they did that for but they did go darker for Winter Soldier. So why couldn't you have done it for Age of Ultron? I mean, Jesus.
Maybe because nobody gave a fuck about. Maybe because it's the big team movie. Nobody gave a fuck about Captain America. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
I mean,
I'm just the man who still loves this movie. Like I understand your reasoning, but there's so many people, even to this day, that give so many superficial reasons as to why this movie sucks. I'm not saying yours are. I understand your disappointment because I was a little disappointed that it wasn't as dark as previews promised.
Yeah.
I will say that. And because like I know like a lot of like the setup, it's like wow, it's almost like it's a cinematic universe or something, and they have to set up future movies. Wow, crazy. And then they were like, oh fuck it, Ultron, why is he the villain? It's like, bro saw the internet for 5 minutes and thought humanity needed to fucking die. Honestly, same. Like, bro, I will spend 2 minutes on TikTok and I think humanity needs to fucking die.
Relatable.
Like, I mean,
exactly.
It makes sense to me. That fucking makes sense to me.
Relatable.
So,
Plus,
and everyone's like,
Tony Stark's personality. To me, it's just, he's a dark reflection of Tony Stark.
Yeah, like he's literally a dark foil of Tony Stark. And the reason that he has that sort of personality is because Tony is a narcissistic sack of shit that fucking inserted his personality into Ultron. That's like the whole fucking point of the character.
Exactly. Yeah.
I never got that, but like I understand your disappointment and shame. Like I would like that's like a wish of like I wish everybody can love this movie. I wish you can love it as much as I do. But it's a shame because I do understand your qualms with it.
And I said, I don't hate it as much as others. You know, I mean, if I seem like I hate it only because I was so disappointed in it.
That's and disappointment kind of clouds a lot of shit.
Yeah, it really does.
Really does.
Yeah.
It's like like I remember like Homecoming. That's what it was. Like ignoring the fact it is like a bad movie, the disappointment with it made it even fucking worse. And you know, it's or Renfield. Renfield is a recent one. That was like you have Nick Cage's Dracula, and then it just the disappointment piled it on and made it even worse than it actually was. So you know. Anyway, so that's just my. Let's move on before Devin has to leave.
All right.
All right.
Well, I was going to have him address his last two because I know he's got to hop off in 30 minutes, but I don't know where he is. Huh?
We can go ahead and have him do that. Yeah.
Okay. Or do you want to just go ahead and name your third pick while we're waiting for him?
Let's all finish our third picks and then we'll do it.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Hold on. Let me close this up.
Okay. My third pick is, one that this is, I'm sure, is going to be really controversial. And I will not deny at all that it's problematic. And I understand completely why people hate it. But I mean, honestly, it's always been a movie that's fascinated me. And I think the good outweighs the bad for me. And I love what he tried to do here. My third film is Ang Lee's Hulk.
Ironic.
I know, because I said ironic when he mentioned Hulk, and I said ironic because of that. And that's why I wish he was here right now. But yeah, so I love what he tried to do with this because, like we said, we talked about how so many of those comic book films around this time were just kind of cookie cutter, had that same kind of tone. He really tried to do something different with this. So he tried to go darker with this. I love the style. I kind of love the style where he shows the different kind of comic book panels, like when Betty's former boyfriend shows up. I forget his name. I forget the actor's name. He did such a good job too. He's so hateable in this movie. But when he shows up and wants to buy their research, and they're like, "No, fuck you, it's not for sale." He goes out and he shows the panels. You can see all of their reactions at the same time. So, but I kind of like this. I know, I do it. That's the face I was looking for. But I mean, I love the fact that they went darker with it. I love the fact that they explored really the psychology of what makes him so angry. It's not just that, he just gets angry. What makes him that way? So he really kind of deconstructed Hulk. I mean, I love the way they did. They kind of inserted into his backstory, the story of him and his father and his family. So, I mean, I really kind of love that. So, and I thought, honestly, what's his name, who played Ross, General Ross.
Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott. Thank you, John. Again, thank you. Sam Elliott did such an amazing fucking job. I mean, as Sam Elliott, as General Ross, you know, when he's jumping through there, he's in the rock. He's like, turn it into a parking lot, son. So, I mean, I really enjoyed it. So I like what they did with it. So, I mean,
Okay.
so I like
Does,
that we delve into the psychology of what
okay,
makes what makes him the Hulk. You
So, does anybody agree with Mark's pick?
know? No,
Does anybody disagree?
everybody.
I haven't seen it, so I can't.
To me, the Hulk. I mean, I understand what it was trying to go, but the problem is that I just found it so boring. It was just boring, and just the CGI just did not look good.
Fair.
And it's just, honestly, I just remember watching it. And I remember being bored by it. So I will gladly take the Incredible Hulk any day of the week.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, the Incredible Hulk is better. I agree. But I mean, I like what he did. To me, it was interesting because of the, you know, delving into the psychology of the Hulk. But I understand.
Okay. Ben?
Yeah, I agree with you. The effects were terrible. The storyline just dragged on, and the panels came more as distracting than looking like a comic book.
It's fair.
So, Devin, are you ready to tear this movie apart?
This movie is crap. Where to begin? First of all, this movie is so fucking boring. You brought us a Hulk movie, and what do we get said? A bunch of monotone people fucking talking! And he doesn't and it doesn't show up to like 40, 45 minutes into the movie. The transformation scene goes on forever. The CGI, and what does he do? With the first time we see the Hulk, like Doug Walker said, here is the Hulk. Get him the hell out of here. We need to change him back as fast as possible for more boring conversations. The editing the transitions are terrible. They do not match the tone of the movie. CGI is awful. The Hulk looks like Shrek. Even for 2003, this looks like absolute shit. It's boring. The pacing is awful. Acting is bland. They turn a character that has nothing to do with the Absorbing Man into the Absorbing Man, and I don't care. I will preach this to the day I die. I've never liked Jennifer Connelly. I do not think she's a good actress. Boom. Give me the Incredible Hulk any day of the week.
I mean,
And the Hulk dogs.
Really?
Better or more entertaining, but I'm just saying I'm not going to judge it by the Incredible Hulk. I'm just going to judge it by itself. So I mean,
and the Incredible Hulk does all of that 10 times better.
Ben had something.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go on, Ben.
I just had to say that.
We'll say what?
He said Hulk dogs. He was talking about the Hulk dogs.
Oh.
How dumb they were.
That was stupid.
I kind of like the Hulk dogs. Honestly.
Really stupid.
I like the Hulk dogs. I thought that was kind of a cool scene to see him fighting the Hulk dogs. So that's just
Go on, John.
Even I've not seen this movie. Maybe I will eventually because I am curious, and plus, if I have trouble sleeping one night, then I put it on. But I will say one thing about the CGI. I think it was an interview with Jonathan Hensley, who was going to direct it, but then didn't. I think he wrote a script or he produced it. I forget, but he was the guy who eventually did the Thomas Jane Punisher movie. But I will give it this, the CGI. I will give it this. Ang Lee has always been a man to push effects as far as they can possibly go. Because look at Life and look at what he tried to do with Gemini Man.
Exactly.
Again, he has always tried to do that. And Jonathan Hensley said this. I'm pretty sure it was Jonathan Hensley, where he was like, this was a movie that was made in the wrong year. Because if Ang Lee did this in like many years later when the CGI could catch up with him, then it would have been better. Because guess what? The same thing happened with James Cameron and the first Terminator. Little known fact is that he wanted to do the liquid metal Terminator in the first Terminator, but the CGI wasn't there yet. So he waited, and then he eventually did it in the sequel. And look what happened. Movie better than the first.
Yeah.
So I feel like if Hulk was like, okay, no, let's put it on the back burner for now, waited, and then they did it later on for the CGI to catch up, I think it would have been a much more well-received movie. But Ang Lee was stuck in the technology of the time and had, because he's like, this wouldn't have looked good with practicals. This wouldn't have been, you couldn't have gotten away with Ferrigno in green body paint with this.
No.
This was a big blockbuster at the time. They couldn't have gotten away with that. So like, we need to do CGI. And Ang Lee, from what I've heard, he was really angry with the overall product in terms of the CGI Hulk. He's like, if the fucking technology at the time could warrant what I wanted to do, then it would have been good. But it wasn't. So I don't totally blame the CGI on Ang Lee. He was just stuck in the wrong year in terms of technology.
One more thing, really quick. Another movie I just thought of that I kind of really should have put on this list instead of my first pick. Another really hot take that I kind of enjoy, even though I see it has problems, but it was also definitely made the wrong year and had just horrible CGI because of it. Spawn. Spawn was just totally made the wrong year. If that had been made even 10 years later, it would have looked far better. Yeah.
All right. So, all right. Well, let's move on. Ben, are you ready for your next pick? And by the way, when I said that Pokemon the first movie was the only animated pick, I was wrong. So, and you'll see why. Go on, Ben.
My next three picks are intentionally good movies I like. And the next one is the 2007 TMNT. This is a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie we all wanted, but didn't know we needed. It has everything. Awesome action, awesome voice acting, awesome animation, for the most part. I mean, I didn't care for the animation for the human parts. And one of the best fight scenes in all of Ninja Turtles history. Leonardo versus Raphael. As Raphael wants to do his own thing, be the lone wolf, and Leonardo wants to keep his brothers in place. It's two opposites, two sides who think different opinions, going at each other. That's how I see it. That's what makes it one of the best fights if not the best fights in all of TMNT movies.
All right. Does anybody agree with Ben? Does anybody disagree?
I haven't seen it, honestly.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
I will say that I watched it recently when I was marathoning all the TMNT movies for preparation of Mutant Mayhem. I'm a big Turtles fan, and like what you said, Ben, I honestly think that it is a really awesome movie. It's a really fun time. It's a different kind of Turtles film. I see it because this is more on like it's more basically what if this was past the Turtles, like kind of like a Watchmen kind of story. I do like that story.
That the Turtles have jobs.
I was gonna say, I mean, what else are you gonna have when you've been accepted into society and
exactly
like even after you killed your main nemesis, Shredder. But I do like that. I do like how it was going in a completely different direction. I will agree with you. Both Leonardo and Raphael, one of the best fight scenes in all TMNT. So I think it is a really awesome movie. I will say that the only thing was maybe some of the CGI does look very dated. So that would be like the biggest thing for me is that it does look, especially with the human characters, where it was given that weird uncanny valley kind of looking. Like this is when motion capture was pretty much at its height with like Polar Express or Beowulf, where they tried to make the human characters look way too realistic. I think that pretty much that was what hurt it for me. But I will say that I do agree that there's, as a Turtles fan, it was something that I'm I do. It's not my favorite Turtles film. I will always take the 1990 film, and I will also take Turtles Forever and Batman versus TMNT. But I still really enjoy this movie. So that's all I gotta say. John, do you got anything to say about TMNT 2007?
I have not seen a single Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie from 1990 to 2023. Sorry.
So wait, you haven't seen the 1991? Nope. You haven't seen 1990 Turtles?
I haven't seen the 1990. Haven't seen Secret of the Ooze. Has the god awful time travel one. I haven't seen the animated one. I have not seen the god awful Michael Bay movies, and I have not seen the Mutant Mayhem movie. I was kind of up with TMNT. I grew up 2003 show, maybe some episodes of that. That's as far as my TMNT knowledge goes.
Well,
I have also not seen the Batman versus ones either.
I'm ashamed in most of you.
Sorry.
All right. No, it's fine. I'm joking. Obviously, I'm joking. Okay, so now we move on to Zach's third pick. And then after that, we're going to do Devin's last two real quickly because he's got to leave in 30 minutes. So, but I will take care of this one. This is one, I don't know if a lot of us have seen this one, but we'll see.
I actually enjoy.
Hold on, wait.
For disliked films that I actually enjoy, Underwater. An awesome, brilliant, underrated mix of Alien meets the Poseidon Adventure. That's all I'm going to say about it because I do not want to spoil this one. If you haven't seen it, go fucking watch it. All you need to know is exactly that. Alien meets the Poseidon Adventure. Go. But to go into more details, this movie makes an awesome redemption of Kristen Stewart's career. She is a total badass in this film, and you really latch onto her character. T.J. Miller, despite current controversy, actually does a pretty good job in this film as the comic relief. And the main idea of Alien meets the Poseidon Adventure is an awesome mix. And the twists and turns that this movie goes in, it's oof. It just shows that even if it's PG-13 horror, it can still be about the suspense, the tension. You don't need blood and gore around every mix, around every corner. And while there is a bit of blood in this film, it's mainly the tension that carries it. Like, I cannot put into words how much I love this movie. And it is also important to note that it doesn't affect the quality of this film. It's just a personal thing that I latch onto. But it was the final film released under the 20th Century Fox banner before they renamed the company to 20th Century Studios. So, you know me. You know I love that company. 20th Century Fox is my favorite movie company. So that was kind of a bittersweet thing to go into. It was kind of an end of an era, the way I looked at it. But that aside, if you haven't seen Underwater, go watch it. Again, all you need to know, no spoilers, Alien meets the Poseidon Adventure. Go. Number 4. Number 3. I'm an idiot.
All right. Does anybody agree with Zach's third pick? Does anybody disagree? Has anybody seen this movie?
I had literally never heard of this before.
I haven't seen it, but I did see a lot of previews for it. It looked kind of dumb, and it turned out to be sort of the sleeper hit of that year. From what I know about, it's pretty much the movie Leviathan with Peter Weller. That came out in '89 when all the underwater movies came out in '89, like Deep Sea Six, all that. It's pretty much like a PG-13 remake of Leviathan, from what I've heard. And was kind of curious after that, but I never had a chance to see it. I would still like to see it, because it did look intriguing to me, and I don't overwhelmingly hate Kristen Stewart. Yeah, sure, she's hanging fruit in terms of jokes because light, but she's she's an okay actress, and from what I've heard, she was good in this. So like, oh, maybe eventually I'll see it because I was curious at the time.
I think it's on Hulu from what I looked up.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of this movie. I've heard of it, but I have not seen it. So, no opinion.
Yeah.
All right, so
too.
that was
Haven't
easy.
seen it.
That was easy. You haven't seen? Okay, yeah, I don't think any of us have seen it. But all right, moving on. Let's just go ahead and since this guy has to hop off soon, we're gonna scroll right through his last two real quick. So, Devin, you're number 4.
My number 4 is Predator 2. Critical reception of this movie was very negative, but it has developed a well-deserved cult following along with my 5th pick, and again, I think it deserves it. This is honestly my favorite of the Predator movies. Yes, I love Predator 2 more than the original. As much as I love Prey, I kind of prefer this. I kind of prefer this over Prey, even though I love both of them, and I like the first movie. I love the city setting. I love how they used it. I love the look of the Predator in this movie. The crime, talking about like crime. I thought that was used very well. Danny Glover is awesome. That is how you do a badass lead black man in a movie. One of the best examples. Such an awesome character. And just seeing him go toe to toe against the Predator was awesome. Yeah, every time I watch this movie, I love it even more. I can never go wrong with Predator 2, and I wish the reception of it was better. And with Prey, hopefully we get more movies like that, but also with the kind of like the tone of this. And when people say that Predator 2 sucks or it's bad, bitch, have you not watched The Predator? Oof. That movie sucked. And with my fifth pick is going to the
Wait. Before we do that, does anyone agree with Predator 2?
I have.
Okay. Let's just talk about we'll talk about Predator 2 and then we'll go over to your fifth pick. I real quickly, I do, like I said, I love the Predator 2. I would say I probably wouldn't be in agreement with you. It's like one of my favorites in the Predator franchise. Prey being like a close second. So, but I would say Predator 2, that's like my favorite in the Predator films. I love the cast, Danny Glover, Gary Busey. It's like they all do wonderful. The action scenes were fun. It's just overall a fun time for me. So, Mark?
I avoided seeing this for a long time because, like Devin said, back in the day, it was shit on so much. I just avoided it like the plague. And plus, I just kind of, had not much faith in sequels anyway. But I'd heard bad, and it just kind of confirmed my worst fears. So I just avoided it. But I finally watched it on recommendation from you guys. And, it's actually really good. I don't love it as much as Devin does. I'm not going to say it's better than the original. I still think the original was a fucking masterpiece. But it is really good. It is really good. So it's a lot of fun. So Devin said they do use the urban setting very well. He acts differently. He hunts differently in there. They have a lot of fun with it. Okay. So, it's a lot more kind of, I guess you would say kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 versus Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where they just go a little bit more fun and campy with it. So,
okay,
but a little like that. So.
But okay,
sorry, go ahead.
Ben. What do you have? Do you have anything about Predator 2?
I think Devin. I like this movie. Devin proves a lot of. Well, the use of the city is not of its setting is good. The Predator is awesome. Danny Glover is awesome as usual. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's all we got to say. And by the way, for the next pick, let's try to keep it short so that this guy could be able to hop off. So let's not spend 20 minutes talking about this last one. So I don't want to keep Devin hold up. So all right, Devin, what is your last pick?
Halloween 3: Season of the Witch. One of my biggest guilty pleasures, and when I first saw this as a kid, I hated this movie. Like for the predictable reason, Michael Myers wasn't in it. But I was 17. I decided to give the movie a chance, and I ended up really enjoying it for what it is. Halloween 3 is a goofy, fun movie. I wish the franchise went in this direction. I love the techno score by John Carpenter. I love Dan O'Hurley. He is awesome as Cochran. Great villain. His plan is awesome. The Silver Shamrock theme is catchy. I love the masks. I love how this actually uses the Halloween holiday as to its advantage, for the setting and for the story. Because the Halloween movies, they're called Halloween. But this feels like a Halloween movie. Like this and Trick or Treat are some of my favorite movies to watch around this time of year. I wish the series went in this direction. I really wish the series went in this direction. Yes, the movie's not perfect. Tom Atkins, he's awesome, but his character is not the most likable. He's a womanizer. He's an alcoholic. His motivation, or just to help this woman whose father died, is just to get pussy. And I thought the romance between them was pretty weak and really didn't need to be there. This movie has balls. It actually kills kids. The death scenes are over the top and hilarious. Like the one guy getting killed by having his eye the robot pokes him in the eyes and fractures his skull, or when one of the robots just casually rips off the guy's head and just that was awesome. This is a good Halloween movie that doesn't use Michael Myers, unlike the one that came out last year. Bullshit. David Gordon, white titties, green. Deal. I'm done.
Okay, so does anybody agree with Halloween 3 Season of the Witch? Okay, does anyone disagree? Okay.
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen it? Okay.
But I know about it.
But you know about it? Yeah. I do like what they were doing with, because this was because after Halloween 2, they killed Michael Myers. He got burned alive he was burned in the hospital. It's like, how that's deader than he's already been. And I do like how it was trying to do something new with it. Because it is, like Devin said, it is about Halloween. So many things can happen around Halloween. And I do like how it was the main character is an asshole. I'll give it that. And it is kind of silly, but I do think, I do enjoy the silliness. And come on, 8 more days till Halloween. 8 more days till Halloween. Silver
Shamrock.
All right. Anybody? John, you want to go next?
I thought the movie was fantastic, even from when I watched it, because I knew going in, okay, it doesn't have Michael Myers, but let's see. And it was great. I don't think it's that goofy. Maybe towards the end it's a little goofy, but I don't think it's that silly of a movie. I thought it was genuinely great. I pretty much everyone's problems movie are superficial of Mike Myers isn't in it, which is fucking stupid. The only one to give an actual reason as to why it's bad is Filmmaster Adam J. He actually solid reasons why he doesn't like it that were outside. Oh, Michael Myers isn't in it. And with that, I'm even more forgivable than you guys. I actually don't mind Tompkins. I thought the fact he was an unlikable asshole made it more interesting. Like, he literally does this for pussy. Like, that's just fucking awesome. Like, that's just great. Like, he's such a fucking asshole and just absolutely great. Love that. But yeah, I thought I do think that Nigel Neal's original ideas, original script were a lot better even though it doesn't have as much of the violence, and there's apparently a lot of anti-Irish sentiment in the movie. But you know, I felt from his ideas they were actually really cool and really interesting. While the movie we got was still great, and I really enjoy it. Great movie, one of the best Halloween movies.
All right, Mark.
It's fine. That's it.
That's it. Okay. Not much else to say, huh?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I just know the movie. I haven't
Okay.
seen it in its entirety.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Do you need to hop off, Devin, or do you want to hang out?
One of my friends texted me. That's when I'll hop off just so I get the confirmation that he's on his way.
Okay, cool. So you could stick around for more of our hot takes. All right, so all right, so now that we've got Devin's 5, let's go ahead and move back up to my number 4. So, and my 4, I did the same thing. Wait, shit. Is it how? Okay, there we go. All right, so I did the same thing that Mark did with Matrix Reload and Revolutions, where I put 2 movies. They both are sequels. They're both not well received, and they both tell one complete story. So I did something similar that you did, Mark, and that is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, and At World's End.
Oh,
yes, I like both of these movies. So I will say that I can understand what some people are giving it, like it's like too long. I didn't see it being like too. I didn't. The runtime. It never. As long as I'm entertained, that's all that really matters. I do like all the different ideas it was going for. I will say, Davy Jones. I don't care what anyone says. Bill Nye is an awesome villain in this movie. I think he is just. And I also even like. I not like Lord Beckett in this movie. The kind of guy who's sitting back and watching the duel between Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones, just so that he could watch both of them crumble and he can come out on top. I do like that. I know that Dead Man's Chest, it seemed like it did get a little bit of praise when it first came out, but people have slowly started to turn on it, and I don't understand. It gave me so many ideas. I do like more of these characters. And I do like, and I especially like the ending fight at World's End, where the big whirlpool at the end, the Maelstrom, I thought that was pretty cool. So, and just I like these different ideas, and it all tells one complete story. And I think if they had ended with At World's End, I think this could have been. I mean, in my eyes, this could have been a satisfying trilogy. Unfortunately, they had to fuck it up by releasing Stranger Tides and made it even worse with Dead Men Tell No Tales. Because fuck those movies. But I will say that I think this could have been a satisfying trilogy if they had ended it with At World's End. And I will say that it does. Yes, there were some things that did bother me. Yeah, killing the Kraken off screen, that was kind of a waste, and I didn't like. And the Calypso subplot was a little unnecessary, I like the make of the movie. It's dark, and I just like how it's all like how it all looks. So I think it's pretty much a fun time, and I really don't understand why people are just kind of about both of them. So, all right, does anybody agree with my pick? Probably not. Yep, that's what I thought. Does anybody disagree?
It's been too long since I've seen either, so no comment.
Never seen them. I've only seen the first one.
Okay. Ben, what do you say?
It's been a long time since I've seen those movies, so there's not much I can say because I don't remember much of them.
Okay, fair enough. Mark, since you're the only one that had seen them recently, besides me.
Curse of the Black Pearl, the very first one. I haven't really liked any of them after that. That's pretty much it. I mean, the first one was a lot of fun, but after that, it was just kind of got old quick, I guess. So.
I mean, I'll agree with you. Curse of the Black Pearl is the best of them, but like I said, I still enjoy for 2 and 3 for what they are. So, but
I don't know. Just they kind of jumped the shark and it just kind of never came back.
Like I said, I think it could have been better if they had just ended with at World's End, because that could have been a satisfying trilogy. Unfortunately, Stranger Tides was bad, and I will say that Dead Man Tales is the worst of the Pirates movies.
Yeah, because it really backstory.
Because it made the other movies not make any sense.
Mark, on my end, you sound like you're kind of like drifting away a lot when you're talking like Chris is like, well,
hey, Boom Power. Come on, all right then. I guess no one else has anything to say, so moving on.
Sorry.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. All right, John.
Yeah, I saw this movie. I loved it. And then I realized that everyone fucking hated it. Even the Cinema Wins channel was like, fuck this movie, even though the entirety of that channel is all about the good, tries to batteries that are salvageable and are good. But even then, I don't get it. And that is the third in the trilogy. That is Glass, the third in the Unbreakable trilogy. Is it the weakest? Yes. I do. Unbreakable is still to this day M. Night Shyamalan's best movie. I don't care what anyone says. Sixth Sense is great, but Unbreakable is way fucking better. Split was a return to form for the man after, loss after loss after loss after miss. It showed that M. Night Shyamalan could still make good movies. And then Glass came out, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, this fucking shit sucks." And I'm like, it exemplifies everything from verse 3, and it's a good cap to the story. It shows that Bruce could act. It shows that James Mac is still one of the most underrated talent in the industry now, and shows that Samuel L. Jackson is more than Nick Fury, even though that's what he chooses now, because he's like in his 70s, doesn't give a fuck anymore. So all three of them were fantastic. Sarah Paul could have been better, but I still thought she was very good. I know people were upset with the death of David Dunn and how he drowned in a puddle. It's like, no, it's just taking advantage of his one major weakness. And sure, it's a puddle, but people drown in dumber shit. People die in dumb ways, so whatever. And that he is so powerful and he dies in such a dumb way makes sense. And I know everyone, and it's funny when this came out with superhero being so big, everyone expect this to be another dumb superhero movie when the first one was supposed to be the contrary to that. It was supposed to be a serious drama that just so happened to be about superheroes. This infused a little more action in the climax, but it was still such a well done examination of superheroes and trying to go contrary to what everyone else is doing. So with that, I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a good cap to the trilogy. The ending is a little weird. It's definitely a movie that was written in the early 2000s before the internet really took off, because it's everyone would have claimed that was fake because nobody believes anything nowadays. So, but even then, I still thought Glass was a fantastic movie, and I still don't get the hate to this day.
Okay. Does anybody agree with John? Anybody disagree? Sorry, Devin, you were lagging. Were you agree or disagree?
Was? No,
A little bit, yeah. I mean,
I agree. I've seen the movie only once, but I remember liking it.
Yeah. I will say Glass for me. I do agree. It's probably the weakest of the three movies, but I will say I still really enjoy it. I still really like it because it honestly seems like it's while Split was pretty much was Kevin's story, and Unbreakable was Bruce Willis. Like I forgot his character's name. David, I think David. Yeah, like that's his story. This was Glass was Samuel Jackson's character's story. I think it really works. I mean, yeah, things did feel kind of rushed, toward the end and all, but I think it was kind of a satisfying, it was a satisfying conclusion to this movie or to this trilogy. So, Ben, what do you think? Agreement or disagree?
I agree.
Okay. Why do
I
you agree?
just love the dynamic between all the characters.
Okay. Mark, what about you?
And
Agree.
how they're and their chemistry.
Okay. Okay then. Mark, why do you agree?
It's weaker than the first two,
You
and
can
that's
see
why.
what each story, Unbreakable, Split, and Glass is about.
Okay.
One is about David, one is about Kevin and the Beast, and this one is about Mr. Glass.
Yeah, I agree. So, all right. You got any more to say, Mark?
I mean, that's pretty much it. It's weaker than the first two. That's why everybody hates it, but it's a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah, I think so too.
A little weird when you think about it.
Okay.
And he's supposed to look weak. That's the whole point.
All right.
It's his weakness.
And it like fucking again, the Razzies proving they're just as dumb as the fucking cat. Oh, fucking Bruce Willis gets worst supporting actor. Fuck off. Like, all right, you nominated The Thing for worst musical score. What the fuck do you know?
All right. So I guess are we ready to move on? And oh, Devin's gonna be pissed at this next one. Mark.
Suicide Squad. Not the Suicide Squad. Fuck that movie. I don't care that it's a mess. I don't care that Warner Brothers fucked it up. I mean, yeah, I want to see David Ayer's original vision as bad as anybody. I don't care what anybody says about the Joker. People were hating on that far too fucking much. They can eat my fucking ass, eat my dick. I don't give a fuck. I like his Joker. I like the movie. I had a lot of fun with it.
Okay, that's pretty much it. Okay, does anybody agree with Mark?
No,
Does anyone disagree?
everyone.
It's just kind of mad to me. I don't hate the Suicide Squad 2016 as much as everybody else does. It's all right, I suppose, but I mean, yeah, it's like it was a little too over stylized, and I will say, yeah, I wasn't a fan of Jared Leto's Joker, but I will say, I do like some of the dynamic between the interaction between some of these characters, like Harley Quinn, and I do like how they gave Deadshot more of a like he's more looking out for his daughter, so kind of thing. I mean, it's just to me, I just both of the live action Suicide Squad movies. Just, I mean, maybe the other one might be slow because I thought the Suicide Squad was just okay. This one's just kind of meh. But if I had to pick my favorite Suicide Squad movie, it's Hell to Pay. It's Hell to Pay easily. So.
Yeah,
and
that's not but I still had fun.
And it's all Don Rockham, yeah.
Yeah.
John?
First watch it, I really, really liked it. Then it's just one of those movies that got worse as time went on. It just, I mean, hunka, like that's, Jared Leto was ridiculous. I get what they were going for. I get they were trying to do what the Golden Age Joker was, but in a mod context, but they went way too ridiculous. It just did not work. This movie started my absolute hatred for Harley Quinn with Margot Robbie in the role. Honestly, because of her and this movie that I absolutely despise Harley Quinn now. So there's that. I thought Will Smith as Deadshot was really good, even though I prefer the Suicide Squad, and I do love Idris Elba as an actor. Yeah, Deadshot was way better than Bloodsport easily. he should have been Bronze Tiger. Idris Elba should have been Bronze Tiger, but
He really should have.
I don't know why they didn't do that. But yeah, Deadshot was great. Jai Courtney was a surprise because nobody likes Jai Courtney. This is like the one role he was actually good in, even though the movie surrounding him wasn't good, and he barely used any actual boomerangs, which made no sense to me, but whatever. Then the villain was Incubus, and the other chick fucking forgettable. Then Rick Flag was good. I thought Joel Kinnaman did a good job. Then the others.
Karen Fukuhara.
Karen Fukuhara was there. Yeah. Killer Croc was also there as generic black guy number 10. And El Dorado was his name. Yeah, he was too. Cool. Okay.
Ben, what do you have to say? Anything?
I just think the movie can be enjoyed as a fun time, sort of like a guilty pleasure. I mean, there are some fine performances, fun action, but that's all I see it as. It's not good, really.
Okay.
But you can enjoy it as a fun time if you just don't think about it. Just have fun.
Okay.
But
Well,
that's the thing.
Well, Devin, you're the biggest hater of this movie, so take the floor.
I liked this movie when it first came out too, but as you get older and your taste mature, you start to realize a lot of the flaws. And yeah, this movie is fucking terrible. One of the worst examples of how studio meddling can fuck up a movie, but just reading David Ayer's script, if we ever got his cut, it would take a shitty movie and just make it mediocre. When we reviewed The Flash this year, I went on record and saying that has some of the worst CGI I have ever seen. This is some of the worst editing I have ever seen in any movie. It is horrid. It is choppy. It is sloppy. There is no flow or consistency from scene to scene. It looks like a lot of parts were put out of order. The characters are dull. There's no chemistry with the team. I for Jared Leto, I do think he could be a great Joker, but for what we've seen, we didn't get to see his full potential. A lot of the songs just felt random. Like really, why is Fortunate Son playing during Killer Croc's scene? Like, why?
Because he's not the son. Sorry, go ahead.
There's definitely a lot of deleted scenes that could have made this movie a lot better. The characters were dull. I love Killer Croc. He's just generic. He's just generic big black guy that says funny line now and again. The villains were lame. Ooh, I'm the Enchantress. Look at my belly dancing of doom. Ooh. Amanda Waller, love Viola Davis in the role. The reason they're said to go after her is because Enchantress is because Amanda Waller is an idiot. That's why, and she's just trying to cover her ass. The idea of, who could take down the next Superman? A guy who shoots ropes. Okay.
And a guy who
I know that was no homage to the original Suicide Squad comic where Slipknot tried to get away and he got killed. But yeah, characters have no chemistry with each other. A lot of them are very dull, and especially with characters who I love. Like Katana is a badass character. She does nothing in this movie. Thank God the boys gave this actress redemption because she's awesome in the show. The movie makes no sense. The story is lackluster. I will take the James Gunn Suicide Squad any day of the week. That gave me a more entertaining story. It gave me a better soundtrack. It gave me better characters. And yes, you can make the whole argument. They're fighting a kaiju in this movie. They're fighting a kaiju in this movie, in the James Gunn one, but they're fighting a witch. How is that a big deal? They didn't know they were going to, in the James Gunn one, they didn't know they were going to call up against that. And also, them going back to save the town from Starro made a lot more sense than, all right, we got nothing better to do. Let's go. Yeah, this movie sucks. One of the worst comic book movies I have ever seen. King Shark over Killer Croc. Because one is Sylvester Stallone and the other one is Guy.
Can't pronounce his name. He's from the few roles I've seen him in. He's a good actor. I can't pronounce his name, unfortunately. But yeah. And Devin got so mad you can barely comprehend him with his mic. Rage-induced Devin.
Okay, so now I guess we're ready to move on to Ben's fourth pick.
Yes.
Ben?
Okay. My fourth pick is a remake that doesn't get talked about a lot, and that is the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This film had genuine scares, a creepy atmosphere, and awesome performances, especially by Arlie Ernie. May he rest in peace. What else do you want from a good remake? Good horror remake.
Anything else? Was that it? Okay. Does anybody agree with Ben? Does anyone disagree? I haven't seen it, so I can't comment.
I think the remake is okay. Arlie Ermey is Arlie fucking Ermey. He's great as Sheriff Hoyt. I really liked Andrew Boniarski.
Yes.
Like a big breath of fresh air after the Leatherface we got in Next Generation. It's just got this franchise. This is a franchise that should have never been a franchise. And in my opinion, this is the last somewhat watchable Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie we got. I thought the beginning was mediocre, okay, but because after that we got Texas Chainsaw 3D, which was god awful. You had Leatherface, which is god awful, and then you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022, which was so terrible it made me officially give up on this franchise. That made me introduce the Graveyard to the show. That's why I'd say
Okay.
Remake's okay.
Does anybody else have anything to say?
Never seen it.
Never seen it.
John, have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it.
Okay. That was quick.
Is Ben's webcam fucking up?
Dan, are you?
Yeah.
Ben, hold on.
Yeah.
Your webcam is glitching out a little bit. Can you go into settings? Do you see the bar? Go down to settings. Go to visuals, and then switch your webcam and take the external web camera off. No?
Weird. I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that either. And his external web camera was working fine earlier. So I guess we'll go ahead and move on to Zach. Is that better?
Yeah, that looks better.
It's a little bit better. Okay, so we're almost done. So it's okay. So now let's go ahead and go to Zach's number 2. So.
And my run-up for
I think that's better.
films
that's
I
better.
actually enjoy.
Let me just close this
Don't
out.
laugh at me.
Oh.
Please don't laugh.
Wait, the page isn't responding.
Anaconda.
Hold on. Okay. Just let me try again because Ben was talking. So
Disliked films that I actually enjoy. Don't laugh at me. Please don't laugh. Anaconda. Yes, you heard right. Anaconda. I love Anaconda. No joke, no bullshit. This is one of my favorite horror films, period. Going back to what I had said about Underwater, and with the idea of even PG-13 horror can be scary, I think Anaconda is the fucking poster child for that. Despite having a few bloody or graphic moments with the snake killing people, I think that the PG-13 rating is superfluous. You'd watch this film and you'd forget it's PG-13 with how scary and chilling it can get in some areas. Yeah, there's some hokey bits with Jon Voight's character in there, but I'm sorry. I think it's more scary than it is hokey. Sue me. I think the characters are all very likable and endearing. It's not the most deep, layered, or some of the greatest character development in the history of cinema, but I do love the character development in here. These characters grow and they change. Again, it's not the deepest stuff in the world, but you do care about these characters, or at least I cared about these characters. And when most of them died, I was like, oh, really? And that's all you really need a horror film to do, is if you care about the characters, then you're invested in the narrative. So, yeah. Yeah, seriously, this is not a joke. This is not a bit. I love Anaconda. It's one of my favorite horror films, and it's one of my favorite movies. A lot of nostalgia for this one. So that is my runner-up.
All right. Does anybody agree with Anaconda? I'm kind of. Anybody disagree? No? Okay. So, Devin, John, you guys haven't seen it?
Nope.
Okay. Ben, have you seen it? Have you seen Anaconda?
I don't think he has.
Okay, I'm taking it. No. All right. I was Anaconda. I do remember seeing this movie like years. There was a girl I dated years ago, and she loved those kinds of like creature kind of those 90s creature kind of movies. I remember she loved to watch this movie a lot. So it's just, I mean, it's just kind of for me. I don't think it's like the worst thing ever, but it's just kind of whatever kind of movie. The CGI, I'll say, does look like shit. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for me. But I mean, I understand that it was like the late 90s. What do you expect? I get that. So, but it's just, I mean, it's just one of those characters weren't interesting. Just, I wasn't really that invested. So, Mark?
I mean, honestly, I'm kind of not sure what the fuck he's talking about, because from what I remember back in the day, a lot of people liked it. I mean, they enjoyed it ironically, really. I mean, it's kind of ridiculously fun. I mean, it's really not as deep as he's saying, but it is a lot of fun. And it's got a great cast. John Voight is great. Ice Cube, Eric Stoltz, Danny Trejo, Owen Wilson. Yeah, so it's got a knockout cast. I mean, Jennifer Lopez. I mean, it's got a great cast, but I mean, it's a lot of fun. But I mean, it's really not that deep. So,
okay, gotcha. All right, so I guess we move. I guess now we don't have much to say about that one. So let's go and move on to everybody's last picks. So I know Devin's already went and did his fifth pick, which means it's my turn now. And this is a movie that I don't know how many of you have seen this movie, seeing how, just like with Pokemon, the first movie, this is a movie that just, I remember, based on a franchise that I remember loving as a kid. And I remember this movie came out, I saw it in theaters when I was it was like several years ago. It was like 2017 or something. But my final pick is Power Rangers 2017. Yes, that one. As someone who grew up as a Power Rangers fan, this is a movie that I just can't get enough of. I've heard a lot of the complaints that people had with it was just, oh, the villain was too over the top. It's like,
have you seen the original show?
Have you seen the original show? Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Rob. Sorry.
No. Yes, thank you, John. Thank you. I was going to say the villain was just as over the top in the original show, and I also heard about there was a lot of Krispy Kreme product placement kind of thing, but then again, I mean, they're the ones that fund the movie, so if a company is funding their movie, there has to be some product placement. I mean, that's what Reese's did with E.T. back in the day. But I do love the characters. In fact, I'll even say I probably enjoy the characters here more than I enjoyed them in the original show, and I will always have a soft spot for the original show because these are a group of people that don't know each other. They're not experts at martial arts, unlike the show where they're all immediately friends and they're all perfect in every single way. So I like how they make these characters a little bit more flawed, so they can make them a little bit more relatable. I especially love Billy as the Blue Power Ranger, seeing how as someone who's on the spectrum and knows people on the spectrum, and hell, I pretty much work with at a group home with people on the spectrum too. So I think it's something that's just so relatable. And Bryan Cranston, he does great. He does awesome. If I had to point out to one flaw, I guess it pretty much would be the fact that the Megazord doesn't look that great. So but I mean, what else can Sorry, I thought someone said something. No, but this is a movie that I love to put on every once in a while. It's very entertaining. I'm really disappointed that this film bombed because they were setting up for a sequel, which would have introduced Tommy Oliver, and unfortunately, because this movie bombed, because it was released around the same time as the fucking live-action Beauty and the Beast remake. Fuck that movie. But yeah, as I would have loved to see a sequel, but unfortunately, we'll never see that because of how much this film bombed. So it's a disappointment because I would have loved it. And there you go. I saw this in theater. I remember seeing it, feeling like a kid again, and I still love it. So, does anybody agree with my pick?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. Dan, what about you? Do you agree with my pick? Dan, I can't hear anything you're saying. I can't hear anything you're saying. Is your headphones on?
Oh, you were talking to me? Because it was loading.
Okay.
Well, I really like this movie. Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, then. All right. Go on.
Yeah, I like this movie. I like how they make the characters more relatable. The product placement did bother me because it wasn't used as efficient as other movies like, say, E.T. or Back to the Future. But, and yes, the Megazord didn't look that good, like you said. But I also like and it took them a while for them to get into their Ranger form. But other than that, the buildup was nice. And I did like some of the action when they got to it.
Okay.
And it's a shame it had to bomb like that, like it did, because of the live-action Beauty and the Beast.
Another reason for my dislike for that movie. Mark?
I liked it. I mean, I had a lot of fun with it. Just as fun and ridiculous and gloriously over the top as the original. So, I mean, don't really see what everybody's problem with it was. So, had a lot of fun with it.
Mm.
I think maybe because people were expecting like a super serious take on the Power Rangers, but like, why? Why would you do that? Like, what's the point? But question, I think I've asked this before, but it was revealed in the movie that Rita Repulsa was the original Green Ranger, right? Like that was like, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean,
do you think that was an interesting idea, or? And
I mean, it does make. I think it did make sense that she was originally a Ranger that had a different ideology than what Zordon had. So I do think it was very. It was, and plus, And plus, keep in mind is that she was the one that had in the original show. Rita Repulsa actually did have the green coin, so she was actually a Green Ranger. So in the original show,
okay. I thought that was just a new addition for the movie.
No, she was the Green Ranger in the original show, and she controlled Tommy Oliver, and he became the evil Power Ranger.
Is that why he evolved into the White Ranger?
Yes, it's like because it involves this because what it was is the fact that the Green Ranger she was able to control it because she had a green through her spell. But it's what he evolved into the White Ranger. Like he sided with the Power Rangers, and then eventually, as the series kept going on, he did turn into the White Ranger. So, Devin, you got anything to say about Power Rangers 2017? Hello?
No comment.
How dare you? Not just kidding.
I think I've said everything I've said.
Oh, okay. All right, so I guess we'll move on to John's final pick. So.
Okay, so this was the movie. My final pick is the reason why I didn't put Pet Sematary, House on Haunted Hill, or Secret Window on the list, because it's a remake and it's a Stephen King adaptation, and I will never understand the hate for this movie, and I have grown to love it even like more so, and that is the 2013 version of Carrie. I absolutely fucking for this movie, and it keeps getting better and better the more I think about it, especially after I watched the original. And you're probably gonna hate me for this, but I didn't think the original was that great. It kind of gets worse for me as time goes on. It's okay. But honestly, in terms of this, I think Carrie nails the original book more, just taking place in a contemporary setting. I thought Chloe Grace Moretz, I would say she's on par with Sissy Stick. Still good. I thought Portia Doubleday was than Anne in the original. Allen in the original film. Portia Doubleday is just absolutely fucking ruthless in this movie, and she does such a spectacular job. I thought Ansel Elgort was a better Tommy. I thought he was a bit more of a three-dimensional character. I thought Judy Greer was better as Mrs. Desjardins than the original Mrs. Collins. And again, I don't care what anybody says. Julianne Moore was leaps and bounds ahead of Piper Laurie, who was fucking terrible in the original movie, and her performance was horrible. I don't care what anybody says. Just insert clip of her orgasming while she fucking gets knives in her, like, Jesus Christ. Like, fucking gift that. I don't give a shit. Carrie 2013 is just a spectacular movie from beginning to end. It gets the book. It understands that the book, while still technically a horrifying situation, is more of a bullying social commentary done well. And it, with how they did this, was so much better. It also helps that it is a female director. She gave it more of a female perspective, and it works a hell of a lot better. I feel like the way that it builds upon itself feels more earned than the original movie. The original movie just felt like nothing happening until the climax. It's like Brian Palma wanted to make a horror scene. That was essentially what he wanted. He wanted to make the prom scene. And then he's like, shit, I got to make a movie attached to that. All right, there you go. I made a movie. This absolutely builds upon itself. Like her learning her powers, her getting more and more bullied by the people around her. And then when we finally do reach that climax, it feels fucking earned. Like, it feels like this was the only course of action for Carrie as a character. And especially with it taking advantage of the contemporary setting, with her the period incident getting put on YouTube. Like, that is like even more fucking humiliating. And the fact that that is played when she gets pig's blood dumped on her. That is horrifying. And then going back to Portia Doubleday, but what I also liked about her, and I think I've mentioned this before, what they make her like a foil to Carrie, and they take advantage of Chloe Grace Moretz, because I understand that they didn't want to put her in like makeup, make her like quote unquote purposefully ugly, like in the original book where she was like chubby, had like glasses and, you know, pimply, a lot of pimples and all that. Well, the way that they make that work is that Portia Doubleday's Chris is jealous of her natural beauty. She has like a fake tan, fake eyelashes. Her fucking hair is like overly gelled, and she has like veneers, overly white teeth, and like a lot of makeup. And like she looks like she's trying way too hard.
Hey, don't mean to interrupt you, John, but I'm gonna hop off, and I will say I absolutely agree. The Carrie remake, the 2013 Carrie remake, is very underrated, even though I do really love the original.
Okay. No problem.
See you guys later.
Later.
All right, take it easy, man.
But yeah, I mean, I was anyway. I think the 2013 Carrie is such an amazing movie. It is one of the best King adaptations, and I fucking hate the fact that it is still hated to this day and pretty much forgotten. Everyone needs to go back to this movie because it was so fucking good. It understood the more while taking its own liberties and doing its own thing.
Okay. Did anybody agree with John's pick? Does anybody disagree? Okay. Do you want to go? Do you want to go first since you're the odd man out, Ben? Hello.
Well, I said I agreed.
I thought no. I thought you. When I said does anybody disagree? I thought you raised your hand. I think there's a delay on your end, Ben, because I think you're like 5 seconds behind or something. Just
yeah.
Okay. So, but anyway, I will say I do think the Carrie remake is underrated. So, I do enjoy it, and I do like how it takes bullying to like this new generation. Just like what you said, the fact that kids today, like, they're using, like, pretty much the worst kind of humiliation was when you make a video of it and then you put it on YouTube for the world to see. That is honestly kind of like, I mean, it was bad enough, but it seems like they took it to a whole new level, and it makes it much more tragic. I will say that I love the original Carrie. It is like in one of my favorite Stephen King adaptations, the original. But I will say that I do appreciate this remake. And I do agree that Julianne Moore was better as the mother, because in the original she was a little too over the top. I saw her. I just saw her as
a fucking little over the top.
She was just over the top. Oh. But all right, I'll move on. Ben, why do you agree? Assuming you heard me.
Well, I just like how it takes the concept of to where to modern world, to where bullying has become worse and worse. Am I can you see me?
No, you're fine. You're fine. All right.
Anyway, like in that scene where in that scene where Carrie reads a poem and her teacher calls her disturbing. That kind of stuff happens in real life nowadays.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
And I thought everyone did good at portraying what bullying was like nowadays. Like how it gets worse and worse. Like how the girl who plays Chris, how when she gets banned from prom, how she gets Daddy to come to save the day, to play Daddy's little angel. That kind of stuff makes me sick to my stomach.
Easily.
Yeah, obviously. All right, Mark. What about you?
I mean, I don't like I had to shit on the original to make 2013 look good, but I mean, I do agree it's a good movie. So
Yeah, I like the original
it was a
too.
good job of it. So
All right. So, are we ready to move on?
Mhm.
Okay. So, Mark, do you want to go with your final pick?
not really, but here goes. My final pick, I'm just going to say it, no surprise, Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. So, specifically the Ultimate Edition, because I could see the complaints about the theatrical edition. After all, they forced him to butcher like 40 minutes off the fucking movie. So, but the Ultimate Edition greatly improves it. But I don't agree with all of any complaints. I loved Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Thought he did a great job updating the character. It's like this, more like a Mark Zuckerberg type. You talk about the weird moments. The fact he's over the top. I mean, as if as if Luthor has never been colorful in the comics before, which he has been very much. So, but the scene on the rooftop alone, his performance is just jaw dropping. When he talks about how God can neither be all good nor all powerful, and neither can you be. God cannot be both all good and all powerful. Neither can you be. I love the relationship between Superman and Batman, the way it develops. It starts with antagonism, as it should, because these guys are not going to trust each other first offhand. I love the fact that they used an older Batman who was more jaded, because it makes more sense that an older Batman would be even more suspicious of Superman. So I love the fact that it kind of took the Dark Knight the Dark Knight Returns, and flipped it, where Batman is older and jaded, but it's Superman who actually saves Batman. Yes, he beats Superman, but it's Superman who saves Batman from becoming what he hates the most, an executioner. So, yeah, I love that aspect of it. So, but that's it. I've defended it enough. So, I mean, defended it enough on here. So, I mean, my defense speaks for itself. So.
Does anybody agree with Batman v Superman?
No.
Ultimate Edition?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen the Ultimate Edition. I've just seen the theatrical cut.
I will say that I probably do like the Ultimate Edition. I think if we're going by the Ultimate Edition, it is a little bit better. But I mean, it seems like it's been a while since I've seen the BVS Ultimate Edition. I do agree it is a lot better than the theatrical cut, even though there were some things that I still thought they weren't able to fix, because like the whole Martha thing was. I mean, I get the point of it, but it's like it still comes across as a little stupid to me.
I mean, it's PTSD. It triggers his PTSD. So I mean,
yeah.
And
I mean, it's like I said, it's been a while, so I mean, I can't really say much of it. So maybe I need to rewatch it at some point. So, John.
Yeah, I thought it did some things right, similar to Man of Steel. I thought it did some things right, a lot of things wrong. I actually am to this day a stark defender of Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I like what they did with him. I thought it was interesting. Yeah, the Jolly Rancher scene is stupid, but like whatever, it's a pick. A lot of people blew a lot of dumb moments out of proportion. Again, like what they did with Man of Steel. It's a gray area. But yeah, it's just kind of great because I want to look it, but I feel there's a lot of things that impede it for me. But yeah, I like the older veteran Batman. I thought Ben Affleck did a very good job. Do I like to see Batman killing? No, I get that was the point. Like he became his own worst enemy, that type of thing. I still don't like to see it. Like no matter what version, I still don't like care for. I still don't care about breaking that one rule. Fairly simple. Batman doesn't kill. Like, I got to include that. But yeah, I think Henry Cavill does a better job here than Man of Steel. I feel like he's is more encompassing of the character of Superman a bit. And it has its problems. It's overall not great, but I think a lot of people blew it out of proportion. And I didn't even hate the theatrical cut. Like, I didn't think it was the worst thing ever, but yeah, the Ultimate Edition is superior. And it's a decent effort. It's okay, but both I never cared after a certain point. I stopped caring for Zack Snyder's version of the DC universe. So, but that's just me.
Ben, any comment? Oh wait, you said you haven't seen the Ultimate Edition.
He hasn't seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen the Ultimate Edition, just the theatrical cut. And from what I got from the theatrical cut, I really wasn't impressed because like maybe it's because I need to see the Ultimate Edition because some plots weren't explained because maybe they were explained in the Ultimate Edition.
They were, yeah.
Like, yeah, the Jolly Rancher scene, Lex Luthor being flamboyant, and the Save Martha.
Okay.
And the and Lois Lane always getting captured like 4 times, 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
Got to mention that.
All right, so I guess we're ready to move on to Ben's final pick, and I know Ben has a lot to talk about this one, right?
Yeah, this is a movie that remains a mystery to why it got a 20-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 20s on Metacritic, and that is Hollow Man. This is a movie that takes the story of H.G. Wells' The Invisible Man, and takes it to a new level with interesting concepts. Like, for example, that the process of invisibility takes time and it causes pain. Not only that because he's the guy's invisible, his eyelids are invisible, so he can't sleep. Could you imagine not sleeping? Not only that, there's a ton of I mean, I get it has problems with the ending. It gets kind of, but and not only that, especially how it's flagging.
Yeah, Ben, you were cutting in and out a little bit, so toward the end, so it was a little hard to. All right.
I'm sorry.
It's fine, Ben. It's fine. Just keep going.
Yeah, I get the ending can get kind of silly, especially how the guy gets electrocuted, burned, and hit with a pipe, and still managed to walk. But I like how they managed to fit how they use Kevin Bacon, the lead himself, for casting, because he was great in that role as the smart, wisecracking scientist. And Elizabeth Shue was great herself. She played the lead lady whose purpose was not to say, go get him, Tiger, or to prove a political agenda.
Okay.
And I like how the environment that in the behind the scenes where Kevin Bacon wears different colored suits based on what he's working with. Like if he's a typical standing shot, he wears a green suit. If he's around smoke, he wears a blue suit. If he's in water, he wears a black suit. So it's based on the kind of environment he works with. I thought that was pretty neat and clever. I don't know if many people have seen this.
Okay.
If you like the 2020 Invisible Man, I guess it depends on which would you rather see it as, a science fiction thriller or a psychological thriller.
I mean, I haven't seen Hollow Man personally, so I can't comment.
Neither
You
have
going,
I.
Go ahead.
Well, I haven't seen it either. I know of it through James Roll's review, and I think the only reason I could think that maybe people hate this movie is the ridiculous third act. But this seemed because like the 90s was kind of like this interesting perspective, like how they're constantly reinventing old Universal monsters, like how you have Bram Stoker's Dracula and Mary's Frankenstein. You went back to the original text, or for like these movies, it was more or how The Mummy was more of an action adventure film that went back to the original, going back to like the 1920s or whatever. And then with Hollow Man, you made it like heavy on the science fiction, where it was like reinventing the Invisible Man. I think there was also Wolf with Jack Nicholson.
That's a new take. That's what I like about it.
Did the werewolf myth in an interesting new direction, for better or for worse. But yeah, I've heard that like most people have seen like, oh yeah, this is a fun movie, but I haven't seen it personally, but from what I know, it seems like a fun movie.
I agree. I mean, I'm with Ben. I liked it. I mean, I remember going to see this with my ex-wife back in 2000 in the theater. We both liked it. It was one of those movies. I remember like renting it and seeing it a bunch of times. And I just really liked it. I mean, I liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought Kevin Bacon gave a great performance as the guy kind of slowly going insane. So yeah. But Elizabeth Shue, I mean,
because he feels like a lab rat.
I fucking love Elizabeth Shue. You know, Josh Brolin was good. Yeah. Josh Brolin was good too. But I mean, to me, I think the heart of it was Kevin Bacon's performance. He did great as a man going insane. So, yeah.
Okay, so I guess we're down to. I guess if we don't have anything else to talk about, we're down to Zach's final pick. And just a warning. This message is 7 to 8 minutes long. So be forewarned. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of discussion with this one. So
it's Beau is Afraid. I know how much Zach loves that movie.
Oh, you spoiled it! I'm kidding. All right, let's go ahead and just play this. His last
over with.
And now it's time to piss some people off. My number one for disliked movies that I actually like, Halloween Ends.
Yeah,
now to get it out of the way right off the bat, just so y'all know where I'm coming from, if you do dislike this movie, you have every right to. You have every reason to. The way it was marketed, showing it as one thing when in reality it's actually what it was. You were pissed. I get it. I may not agree, obviously, but I can get why, totally. As a Halloween fan, you want one thing and one thing only. Michael Myers front and center, slashing bitches left and right. You want it to mainly focus on the established characters that have been there from the beginning, and you want it to be a satisfying finale. That's not what you felt you got, and you were pissed, you were scorned, disappointed. I understand. I mean, I agree, again, but I can totally get it. I can see both sides of the coin with liking or disliking. So definitely keep that in mind so you can see where I'm coming from. But going into why I think it works, even with the idea of Corey carrying the majority of the film and focusing mainly on him, I really dug it. The ways that it's still tied into Laurie Strode's story is what did it for me. Because seeing her sympathize with Corey at the beginning, seeing everything he's went through, but then slowly starting to realize as the film progresses that something's off with him. And once she starts to see what's going on, I like the ways that, at least I personally think, that it brings the franchise and this timeline story full circle. She has to stop this guy now, while also having to deal with Michael coming back later on. And it's all about saving Allison. Because it's established very well in certain scenes that she does not want Allison to be affected in the same ways that she was. She does not want Allison to go down the same long path of failure, depression, and trauma that had affected Lori for so many decades. The small ways like that, even if it's not the way we expected it to, but the ways that it still brings the franchise full circle, I was really digging it. But make no mistake, though, I was watching this movie like a hawk once I was starting to notice all the new different directions that it was going in. I was like, okay. And while there were certain moments that I will admit left me thinking, are you fucking kidding me? At first, in the grand scheme of things, once I saw how it all came together at the end, again, I really dug it. I really dug these new, bold, different ideas that they were swinging for. It's not for everyone, and I'm certainly not in the mindset of, it's a thinking person's movie, you just don't get it, or, well, you're a fucking fake Halloween fan if you don't like this. As I mentioned before, while I may not agree with the negative opinions on this film, I can totally get behind why people were pissed about this movie. So make no mistake there. And it's something else too, kind of talking about the entire trilogy as a whole for a minute, and it will tie into this particular topic. It's just something I realized about this trilogy as a whole. And I just recently realized this. Every film in this trilogy, each individually gave me something I have always wanted to see this franchise do. The 2018 film completely wiped the slate clean in favor of getting rid of certain films like 5 and 6, and of course Resurrection. Yeah, you got some good movies in there, like the OG Halloween 2, Halloween 4, and H2O that were wiped away, but I feel like the ends justify the means. Then Halloween Kills finally brought the OG characters all together after so many years to go after Michael. We finally got to see Tommy, Lindsay, Brackett, and even some other characters all coming together in one movie to go after Michael. That is something I have always wanted. And while every single thing about it may not have been perfect, I feel like some of the legacy characters could have gotten more screen time. It was definitely more satisfying for me than the little things that I had nitpicks over. Then we had Halloween Ends, the big one, which finally fully delved into the idea of what if someone else is affected by the evil and becomes a killer. Something that Halloween 4 set up, but later films never had the balls to go into this deep level of detail over. Again, it's not what people wanted. A lot of people feel like it was an ill-advised idea for this final film of the trilogy. I understand why you were pissed. But the ways that I personally feel it still tied into Laurie's story, and the ways that I feel it brought the story full circle, I dug it. So, and that's just the thing why I consider this trilogy as a whole to be my preferred Halloween continuity. Not just because it's the actual new canon, but this is the first timeline out of all the Halloween timelines where none of the films pissed me off. Nothing happened in any of these films that fully derailed the entire thing and just ruined it all for me. Not to say that there weren't things that I had issues with or that I was mixed on, but you get the idea. We finally have a timeline where I liked every single movie up to the end, and that I was satisfied with how it ended. Woo! I'm pissing some people off. I probably know. Long ass rant, but I had to get that all out there. So, yeah. That is my number one for disliked movies that I actually like. Mike fucking drop.
Okay. So, does anyone agree with Dak? Anyone disagree? Okay. I mean, we've already done a review of this movie, so you could pretty much just check out our thoughts if you're interested. Want to hear more detail about that? But short story, I didn't like the Corey character. I didn't like just how much Michael Myers wasn't used. I will say I'm not as angry with this as some people, but I still acknowledge it's not. I don't think it's very good. I still acknowledge it's not very good. So. I mean, it was probably like I forgot what number 7 or 8 on my worst stuff, but I'm just not real. Like I said, I just couldn't get into the characters and just hate how much sidelined Michael was. But that's all I gotta say. Like I said, if you want to check out more, just go watch our live stream on it. John, do you want to go next? While you're kind of iffy.
Yeah, I think Halloween Ends is an exceptionally flawed movie, and same with I understand why people don't like it. It's does a lot of dumb shit, and does a lot of stupid shit, and it's ridiculous in a lot of areas. But I think, like, deep in the nitty gritty, there is something there. I liked how Haddonfield, the entirety of Haddonfield, was a victim when we hadn't really dealt with that before. I didn't mind Corey as a character. I think he is. He could have been better, and he could have not been bullied by high school band geeks. But I think there again, a lot of this movie was a lot of really good potential, really good ideas, but probably some of the worst execution you probably do for this type of movie. I mean, I made an entire series on it. I made an entire video on it about this series about how if you stuck with these ideas from the beginning, it could have been good and let it execute in proper ways and let it properly write it, properly develop, properly like do the ideas in a like interesting way and not a dumb way. It could have been good, but unfortunately it falls flat in a lot of areas. I still like the movie mainly for the potential, and I thought the acting was good, and I thought some of the ideas were good, but it failed in a lot of areas, and it could have been a hell of a lot better, and it is not the best Halloween movie.
Okay. Ben, your thoughts on Halloween Ends?
This is a movie that could have worked if it was its own separate movie. Heck, if it's its own separate Halloween movie, but it's too busy trying to be the horror version of Joker, and it's failing miserably. That's what's sad. Because I want to like this movie, but because it has to offer. I mean, I like the idea of it trying to be Halloween 4, but it fails to do that too, with the evil being passed on to someone else. Because that could have worked as a sequel or a standalone movie, like I said.
Okay. Anything else, or okay? I think all right, Mark. Since I know you are probably the most angry out of all of us.
Fuck this movie. That's it. Just fuck this movie. Everything about this movie. I'm sick of talking about it, sick of thinking about it. Fuck this. On behalf of Devin and myself, fuck this movie. David
All
Gordon
right.
need a massive dick.
All right. I
If
guess
they were
enough.
bored with making Halloween movies, they should have not made a Halloween movie. Just made a Corey movie instead. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I feel like if Devin did stay on, he would have a lot to say about this too. So,
His idea.
yeah, like I said, if you want to know more thoughts, go watch our Halloween Ends live stream.
Yeah.
So we pretty much, like I said, that's why I didn't go into detail because we pretty much said enough about this.
Or go watch my How to Fix the Halloween reboot trilogy. I think I did a much better job.
Yeah. Go watch John's How to Fix
on my channel.
Yeah, on his channel. So, well, I guess that's about it. So, yeah, let me go ahead and close. Let me go and close this out. So, yeah, that was 30 unpopular films that we actually do like. So,
yep.
Hopefully that both of this and last stream can pretty much give you an idea. There's no such thing as a right or wrong opinion. It's just what you think. And despite the fact that we may bullshit each other up from time to time, it's just we do that just for fun, just like a little joke thing kind of thing. But it's, in all honesty, this is just all opinion. Like what you like, hate what you hate. And if anyone if anyone has a problem, then they can go eat a dick.
Pretty much.
All right, so I guess we'll go ahead and end it here. So thank you all for watching. I know this stream is going on for so long, but I mean, it's kind of expected for these special streams. So, and until then, well, let me go ahead and until then, we will see you guys next time.